couple of tips that have been helpful in the past in game jams, and then we'll announce the theme to everybody. After I'm done talking, maybe in the next 5 minutes or so, we've got some people relevant to the theme that are going to come up and give you guys a little bit more information on that. So. All right, so if our mentors can maybe stand up and wave, I'm trying to look around for everybody who can see you. That's Brian Nielsen right there, he's waving. And Scott is back there with the camera. All right, Roxy is in the background. And Will was not able to make it, sorry Will. And then Erica is here as well. We also have Hunter. And if I'm missing any, we have some judges, but yeah. But the mentors will be here all week long. They'll be able to, you can ask them coding, art questions, design questions. Yeah, I'm stuck, this is crashing, I'm freaking out, what do I need to do? They can be here to help you and guide you on that. We separate them from the judges just in case you get a little friendly with the mentors. The judges will be separated and then that can be a little bit more effective. Our rules, Roxy, do we have the judges on here or should I go ahead and announce the judges too? Okay, so I'll go ahead and say real quick. Our judges, we have Nike over here. He is a professor in Trulaske in charge of entrepreneurship. A little bit about his background also in video games. He's been VP at Capcom, Atari, some real cool stuff like that. Had some indie companies and some real cool stuff. We'll talk more about the judges on Sunday, but he wanted to come and be here for the opening. And then we have Nathan Laxamana back there. He's actually an Adroit alumni. He's out in the big world working in video games now, making cool stuff. He's a tech artist, so he's cool on the art side, cool on the dev side. And then Johanna is coming over from KC. She is also a game developer out there, so we'll announce her when she gets here Sunday. So. All right, so the rules. So the game jam begins officially kind of now, and early registration will end on 5 o'clock on Sunday. I'll explain that in a little bit. Competitive game jam, so we'll be judged by two of these judges, and we'll have a third one. We try and have like a design judge, an art judge, a development judge, so we kind of have a rounded perspective. No min or max for the team size, it just kind of you split up the prizes amongst yourselves. You have to be here to demonstrate your game on Sunday. We're going to have a really short presentation since we have a really good turnout. You can use pre-made assets as long as you have the rights to use them and disclose them, put them up on our website or whatever at the end, and it's fine to do. And do your best to follow the theme, as close to your tie to the theme, better, Use of AI, our policy on that is we're open, you can use AI, just you have to fully disclose what you did with it to the judges. It's up to them how they view that, if they, if it's one team and they, a developer and they do some art on the side, maybe that'll be looked on better than, this is my personal opinion, I'm not a judge, than like a team of 6 people that also used AI, something like that. So as long as you fully disclose it, it's up to them how they evaluate that. Like I said, really short demonstration, so we're going to get started at 5 o'clock on Sunday with an early registration. So if you want to submit and lock down your game at 5, we'll enter you into a raffle. We have some swag to give away from Tiger Tech. It's like some headphones, a little backpack, Bluetooth speaker, a bigger Bluetooth speaker, waterproof kind of thing. So we'll give that to the whole team. We'll do a raffle, and whichever team wins, we'll give that out to the whole team, split amongst themselves. The regular registration or a regular turn-in submission window ends at 6, so you have to have your game online and locked down at 6. So like I said, if you feel a little confident or maybe really not confident, you're like, I'm just going to go for the raffle, then we can give the judges an hour head start to kind of start looking at some presentations and stuff. The judging criteria, I mentioned a little bit of this, but yeah, one big area will be the design. How's your concept, your scope, the smaller the better. You can't be too small at a game jam. And then, usability, is it really easy to pick up and play, or does it need like a game manual that you got to read before you get started? The development, obviously, is it bug-free, but then also, is it efficient, does it run pretty good? And then, some of the development aspect is like how did we do something really, really challenging and pull it off that sometimes gets some bonus points. Art-wise, consistent, effective presentation, really good visual appeal. UI, UX design, that goes kind of hand in hand with that usability, intuition kind of stuff. And then sound quality also, do you have any sound in your game at all? Is it sound effects? Is there a little bit of music? How much does that add to the overall experience? So the prizes, so we have 3 categories. We have a K-12 category, we have a college student category, grad student, college student, undergrad, whatever. And then we also have an indie professional category. Basically, if you're not in school anymore, you should be in that indie professional category. Each one of those will have a first, second, and third place. So we'll give $1,000 to the best game in each category, $500 to the second best game in each category, $250 to the third best game, divided amongst the team however. And then this year, mostly thanks to Morenet and that, we have a grand prize of $5,000 for the best game of the whole game jam. So we will pull that out. winner in first place and the prize, we're trying to spread the love a little bit, but somebody's going to walk away with that from one of the 3 categories. So. All right, so this is Townsend. This is where we work. Our studio, Adroit, actually is right downstairs, 104. If any students want to maybe check it out, we actually renovated it. We're going to do a grand opening. It's open to students now. Most of our employees and staff at Adroit work all around the country, so we just had this open room we were using. So we tried to make it really cool. Got some new furniture in there. Got an Xbox Game Pass, stuff like that. So yeah, you guys want some software and some stuff? Come in and hang out and make some games. We need to use it to justify doing it. So. If anybody wants to check it out, let me know. I'll take you down there and we can talk about how you can get in there, stuff like that. Alright, so taking care of yourself at the game jam, super important. So rest when you need to, sleep early, don't pull all-nighters for 2 days. That's not usually rest. I've never seen a team win like that, I don't know. Eat well, drink plenty of water. We got drinks over there now. We'll have dinner provided. We'll have breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow, and then breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Sunday. So feel free to stop buying food. Usually breakfast will be here 9 or 10, lunch will be right around 12, maybe 1, and dinner will be like 5 or 6 every day. We'll usually make announcements in the Game Jam channel, so make sure you're in there. If you're not in our Discord, we'll figure that out. We'll probably put that up here or something. Figure out what your and your teammates' skills are, what everyone wants to do, and learn during the Game Jam. Make this experience worth your while. You're all here kind of working together and stuff, so if you want to learn something, then make sure everyone knows, like, hey, I'm trying something new, guys. This might not work out, and then they can have contingency plan and stuff like that. If you guys are really here to compete, then make sure you're really focused on what your job is and what everybody else's job is. And even a team manager who might not even code or do art or anything, just to organize and check in people, get food and drinks, that could be helpful. So communicate all the time. As soon as your game jam, set up source control. So get source control going. Brian's here; he can definitely help you with that. GitHub going, anything like that. But you definitely want that early. Please listen. Limiting your scope is key. You can always add more later. Jams are about innovation, fun, and collaboration. So have fun, relax, enjoy it, have a good time. It's good to see people back again who've been here before. Oh, did I miss one? If you have any problems, don't hesitate to ask. Ask early, learn fast. This is also a learning thing. So, all right, so everybody ready for the theme? Woo! So our theme this year, thanks to Morenet and in collaboration with some computer science folks, is quantum. I guess we don't have a big slide for it, but it's quantum. So your game has to tie to quantum somehow. So like I said, we're going to have some folks over from the quantum computing lab come up. They're going to talk a little bit about quantum, different aspects of it, some cool stuff. You got to tie that into your theme, whether that's art, whether that's mechanics, whether that's physics. That would be crazy, but go for it. But that's kind of what we're working with. So imagine, create, enjoy. If you are doing the early submission, we are about to start the demos over here. I'm going to go write all the names of people just and entered in the Discord in a cup, and we're going to start raffling or drawing to see who is going to present first. If anyone would like to volunteer to present first, you are always welcome to do that. Yeah, you guys want to volunteer? Okay, sure. That's not a complex. Yes. Oh, I should say that, sorry. Is there anybody in the early submissions from the K-12 category? Just one? Would you be okay going first? It's really good. All right, everyone. We have our first group. They're actually going to volunteer from the college category. This is Calvin and the Chipmunks.
Come up. Wasn't sure how you wanted to do it. Yeah, you can do it however you want. I highly recommend it. Well, we're going to do that. Don't you worry. So, I'm Andrew.
I'm Sina.
Jonathan.
And Brandon. Okay. Sure. So, we tried to implement as many kind of quantum features in as simple format. We start as someone named Quantum, but unfortunately, this little particle gets split into two, and now you are Quan and Tom. And so you miss each other so much, and you want to reconjoin. I can kind of explain how the different mechanics relate to, hopefully that was, relate to the actual quantum mechanics. So, Suna here, he was our artist, and he did a great job. He made our logo, all of his custom art. We didn't use any assets. I love the little guys. I think you guys will love the particles. And Jonathan was our level designer, so everything we get to demo is thanks to him. And then me and Andrew worked together on general mechanics and menus and whatnot to make it as polished as possible. Technical difficulties. Hopefully this doesn't take away from our
There wasn't like this before. No, I did that before. Well, do you want to tell them more about our game?
Sure. Okay, while we get this set up, maybe we should, like, for the next team, get it set up and then start presenting. I think that's a good idea, you know? Because I don't want to cheat and, like, tell about the game before it's there, because it's not really a 5-minute presentation. So do you have an input, Joe?
Yeah.
You want us to wait until we get it up? Or?
Do you need more time to try and figure something out, or do we want to switch out to try somebody else? Okay, we might let another team go first.
Yeah. We'll get it
Try
set
and get
up.
running on your machine and then hop back up.
Is there any other volunteers to go first? I know after that it might be a little rough. All right, well then we're drawing. Are you all Happy Turtle also?
No, we just stole their spot.
Okay, well Happy Turtle then. Where's Happy Turtle at?
All right, we are Happy Turtle Games, and this is our game, Quantum Bugs. So in it, it's an arcade game. You're playing as a guy spinning quantum computer from a series of viruses, or bugs, I guess. Sounds not working for some reason. But anyways, every once in a while, the reality splits into a set of possible states into a superposition, and you are controlling the same character through all of them. Every once in a while, when it splits, you get an upgrade, like so. And anyways, or once it does it all state, but you can collapse the superposition into a single state, but every time you do so, it gets harder. So you want to try to see how many states you can collapse. If you die and you collapse into that state, then you lose the game. So death is not a certain game over, but that's the gist of it.
I worked on the sound that you unfortunately can't hear, and then also I did some of the sprite artwork as well and animations for the bugs.
Yeah, I did like cover art and some of the animations and sprite art too. Oh yeah, I'd love to talk more about that. It was really nice. I was able to use A-Sprite, and I learned a lot more about A-Sprite. I've used it a little bit for other projects, but I really got into like a lot of the actual shortcuts, and I was able to really like maximize my flow.
Yeah, I learned how to use Reaper for this to make the sound effects and song, and also like edit the sound effects and stuff too. So that was fun.
Yeah, and I was the main programmer on this game. Players and I was the main programmer in this game. I programmed the players and like the shooting system and all that. So yeah, all the players are like linked together.
All right, and you lost. All right. think that's about it. Thank you.
Does the judge have any questions?
Hello, hello. Wonderful game. I guess out of curiosity, how does the enemies scale over time or the difficulty scale as you progress through the game?
So more often is on states appear, which makes it harder, but then once you collapse, there's a linear difficulty modifier that spawns more enemies each time you collapse. Into one state.
Thank you.
So how is there an upper limit to how many different like realities can exist at once?
6.
6.
And then it collapses. Yeah, I mean, yeah, crazy.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next group we have is. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Calvin and the Chipmunks.
It just didn't work on his.
It happens.
It was a problem with Windows Defender. I think the auto deleting files, I think it got forwarded.
It's always Windows.
Yeah.
Turn the volume up.
I think
We do have.
the last one also I think it's just
If you want to translate on computer,
I can recreate it.
Can you blast it up?
Yeah, that's what. I thought that's what we were going to try.
I just didn't want to hold anyone up while I switch my audio devices with a
As long as it's loud enough for them to hear, right?
Okay. I don't know if
okay.
you can hear it.
I can hear it.
Oh, good.
You can sort of hear that there is music.
There is indeed
That we
music.
made.
Andrew, did you want to speak? I'll kind of play through.
Yeah, sure.
You play through the game.
So we made this main menu here, and there's some customizable settings if you want to show that off. So you can change the music and the sound effects volume independently, and you can choose your own color pairing for each of the guys. And that'll make more sense once we get into the levels themselves. But once you're happy with your colors, we'll go ahead. We have 5 levels that unlock progressively.
One time was split.
Yes, so he's split. So now they both move like together with the same controls. And you can swap the colors of them to interact with the different walls in the environment. So it's a puzzle platformer, and to win each level, you have to get them to touch. And so it's as if the particles were reuniting. And you can see there's circuits and stuff in the background, and that's because it's set inside a quantum computer. So we thought that was pretty neat. This is level 2. And this was made in Unity, and we used the Unity like dynamic lighting system and 2D render pipeline and all of that. But all of the programming other than like the basic Unity stuff was made by our team. And so we had 3 developers, myself, Jonathan, and Brandon. And then Sina did all of the art, which is really incredible. Yeah.
You guys did a great job.
And so you can customize your character, and yeah. And in the future, it'd be great to add like a sombrero or a top hat or various other bow ties and things like that. But we just wanted to play with some of the like specific quantum concepts, and I might like Brandon explain some of that.
So finish this level for me, Andrew, or see that? So basically, everything is kind of based on the fact that the particle is both a wave and a particle, or behaves as one. And so through that, you go through like a slit experiment, so you split into 2. And so now you're in a superposition where you are Quantum, but you're only indexed, suppose, as Quan and Tom. And so you're in these 2 states, and you're kind of, you could say you're entangled in that you're sharing the movement information, and the teleportation, which is really around information, is like switching information of states between them. So that's how we incorporated quantum teleportation. There's also a form of inference or interference in that the state in which you are in will determine whether or not you can swap, right? So if you're inside of a wall that the other one would get stuck in, you can't, and so that's a form of interference.
And that's also a big game design problem of like, what do you
True.
do if you're in the wall? And it's also a puzzle component. So
Yeah,
that ties into
that's a good minute to figure out what was what's going on there. Yeah, off the top of my head, I listed out all the different cool features of quantum and tried to justify the mechanics behind it. So, yeah, that's all, everyone.
Thank you for presenting. I guess related to those puzzle mechanics and difficulties, is there any mechanics or ideas that you had for the levels that you wish you'd like to be able to have the time to make or add that you couldn't?
Yes. To be clear, these are like extra features that we can put in levels. One thing I really wanted to do was have an external particle, which is not playable. It kind of wouldn't have the rings around, just eyeballs that you could push around. But if you were to swap while you're kind of on it or next to it, it would put the rings on it. And so now you're entangled to it. So you can move it around the level and place it somewhere so that would make you, or give you some platform to get to the next spot. Another thing I would like is to have a form of external unobserved particle where we could incorporate another form of interference, where we'd have a direction kind of circling around that particle.
like a spinning arrow.
Right. And there's different ways we could do this. This is just one way we're thinking of, where whenever you would jump into it, you would shoot in that direction, which is very similar to when you do the slit experiment, the amplitudes of the waves would either add to become brighter or to cancel out. And so that would be a way of like, you either boost or don't boost, and there's another idea around that, around cosine similarity with where you're pointing if you have a joystick. So, little design decision there that we didn't have to do because we didn't have time. Yeah.
Yeah, just one comment. You know, the fact that you took on a new team member real time and integrated him into that's a big deal. And I'm grateful that he had an opportunity to work. So that's significant. Well done.
I appreciate that, thank you. And Jonathan's a great addition. He's always giving us ideas and thinking about stuff, and it's like, I'm glad that he had the guts to come up without knowing anyone to a different university and put himself out there to join a team in the first place. So can we get a round of applause?
The reason I is because just on Tuesday, Hunter told me it's like about this. About less than a week ago, I didn't even know this game jam was even a thing. But I'm glad to know that core concepts and problem solving really do carry over. Pseudocode is a universal language of the universe, not universal. It's really helpful.
Let's go, Jonathan.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Give it up for Calvin and the Chipmunks. So far, great timing, everybody, by the way. Everybody's moving along great. All right, next group we have up is Algebros. The Algebros here? Yep, I see ya. And yes, thank you all for being flexible with the sound. The judges can hear the sound, so that's the most important part. Everyone else, you can check out the sound after the demos when the games are posted online or on Steam if anybody's really awesome.
Okay. Good afternoon. Our game is called Schrodinger's Cat. Our team name is the Algebros. I'm Sydney Belter. I'm a freshman studying data science, and I'm going to be running the program.
Hey everybody, my name is August. I am a junior computer science major, and I was the lead programmer for the game.
My name is Sarah Marino. I am a sophomore studying computer science, and I did all of the art for the game.
I'm Blake Gretchen. I'm an electrical engineering major, and I did the sound for the game, which unfortunately can't really hear right now. But that's fine. That's fine.
So our game is a twist on the classic shell game, but with Schrodinger's cat. And the basic idea is that it is an irradiated cat which is slowly increasing in speed to the point where it gets to the speed of a quantum particle. And so it's typical clam game, gets faster, you try to locate where it's at. And yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to Sarah so she can tell you about the art design.
Yes, so I actually do not have much experience in digital art. I do a lot of calligraphy, hand stuff on paper, so this was all very new to me. I used my note-taking app that I use on my iPad called GoodNotes, so that is all drawn there. It is not optimized for art at all. But as you can see, I think it turned out pretty good. It was super easy for me to do instead of trying to learn how to use Procreate, which I've done a little bit, but not too much. I did run into a few issues on figuring out how to export it. Like I said, it's not optimized for art at all. But I was inspired just by some images online. It is all hand-drawn, like I said. And my personal favorite part is the cats. They're all based off the same sprite, and I had a lot of fun drawing the different cats and making them different colors. And just looking at the game, all the different cats show up is honestly one of my favorite features for me.
Yeah. So I did the sound. So I don't really have much experience in programming. We did Tiger Hacks last semester, and that's about my game dev experience is about that. And so with the sound, I really just used one website where it was just royalty-free sound. But the one nice thing about it was I think I really found some pretty decent ones because you don't really notice it too much. To me, my mindset going into it is a good sound design, like you don't notice the sound, it kind of just adds to it. It's not really the main part of it. That's kind of my philosophy behind it. And so this project helped me, I really learned how to, search through all the sounds, find ones that fit with what we wanted to. I did have to download Audacity and cut up some just to make it mesh a little bit better. But yeah, overall it was a pretty fun learning experience.
Yeah, so the thing I'm most proud of that we did was really focus on iterative game development. So within the first few hours of the competition, we had a minimum viable product working. And so we were able to then work on polishing, add sprites, add animations. We're all very new to game development, so we tried to keep the scope small and create a polished project. And I know you can't really hear the sound design very well, but we're trying to go for a satisfying kind of mobile game style thing where, get dopamine, get clicks, it's satisfying to play. And I think we did a really good job of that. And I'm really proud of our team for collaborating and working together. And also Sydney showed up as we got here and was like, hey, I'm looking for a teammate. So I was glad to have more people. And yeah, thank you so much.
Do you all have any ideas for additional features that you would add given more time?
Yes. Yeah, so first of all, we basically have it set up, we just weren't able to push it in time, but we're gonna make it that the cat slowly becomes more irradiated as the game goes on. We also want to add it so that there are power-ups that you can unlock, so if there's a high score, it scores your high score, and we want that to give you points, and you can use the points to buy power-ups and maybe permanent upgrades. We kind of want to go for the Velatro vibe, roguelite vibe, and so kind of just have it get more insane, add more boxes. You get to a certain level, there's more boxes, add quantum leaping time travel to go back in time and make it slow down again, or superposition where you can just decide which box the cat is, stuff like that.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I guess one of the questions too, as you progress with the game, the speed does scale up. Did you decide on a specific way that it was going to start speeding up? Is there a max value that you've reached? What's the situation with that?
So the way that the speed is actually controlled is using a tween function is what it's called in Godot, and there's a duration, the last argument that you pass in is the duration of the animation, how long it takes to switch. And so each round, the duration is 1 over x, and the x just slowly gets incremented down, so it'll never reach 0, it'll never be an instantaneous change, but it will get infinitely closer to that, and yeah, that's how that works.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you very much. Algebros. Next up we have Isaiah Collapse. Oh yeah, you come up, see me. I'll meet you. And if you are not a college group, please let us know, but I'm assuming all these are college groups so far, so.
I'm not.
Oh yeah, you're actually indie, right?
Yeah.
Yep, awesome.
All right, so this is a multiplayer game, and it works better the more people are in the game. So if anyone who has their laptop open could download it and join, that would be great. It's really hard to demo with one person. You can only demo like a third of the game. All right, so I don't know if everyone here knows what a MUD is, or a multi-user dungeon, but it's basically a big multiplayer dungeon game. And this one, I don't know, I wanted to make something based around, the theme's quantum, and I really wanted to make a MUD. So my idea for a MUD here was you are trying to escape a quantum computer which has a failed cooling system and is incinerating itself from the inside out. So instead of forcing players together in, it's forcing them out. But where the objective of the game is to escape. You're trying to find qubits to repair the network connection, the network stack, to escape the computer to a different one before it completely implodes or incinerates itself. However, there's a lot of people in the game, or if there's at least one other person in the game, you can sabotage them, you can hack them, you can have a firewall to defend yourself. But the really fun mechanic is you can entangle with one other player, and then you can teleport to each other anywhere on the map. I'm gonna log in real quick.
What's the password?
You make a new account. Hit Control-T, and you can then just register a new account. I do actually hash the passwords, so it's not like they're just in plain text stored. I should have reset the server. It's basically, it resets every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, the entire server resets to a fresh dungeon, which is procedurally generated. Everything you do, you type in and then hit enter. I recommend typing help first. You'll get a lot of useful information. The mini-map in top left, you can see where you are. Every room has an undetermined state until you try and enter it. If you try and enter a room, it will decide at that moment, is it real or is it fake? If it's a fake room, or like a collapsed room in this case, then it kicks you back out and now you can't pass it. Unless you want to spend a qubit to repair it with the fix command. You can fix and then in a direction. And then that repairs that room, you can now enter that room, and now it can be used again. There's a bunch of different hacks. There's corrupt, which is damage over time. There's let's say stop, which just freezes your target for 10 seconds. There's blind, which clears your terminal history. There's a couple other ones as well. I don't know, it's fun. The map doesn't actually show, the map on the right doesn't show where you are, it just shows the current state of the map. It doesn't show where anyone else is either. The only map that you have is in the top left. Or the only map to show where you are. And I wanted to experiment with not giving the player every bit of information in a dungeon. I wanted to be like, oh, you can only see right around you. You can chat with people, but the chat range is limited to 3 tiles from you, so 1 outside your mini-map, basically. One really fun challenge that I had was managing the map, because originally I just made the map a big JSON file, which was great when the map was 21 by 21. It was a little slow, but perfectly functional. However, when I tried to make it bigger, this is a 41 by 41 procedurally generated map, it just crashed the SSH client, because all of the connection handling is through SSH, because I wanted to not deal with that. So it's all in Go's SSH library to handle authentication and server connections and keeping that tunnel going. I'm sorry, I'd really like to demonstrate this, but it's really hard to demonstrate it and talk, because I don't have a teammate. Sure.
All right, let's check it out. Watch him play right now. Looks like he died. Nope, false alarm. We got Biggie Cheese, Trev 45, Nazunan, Jonathan, Sarah, Call Me Cheese.
I forgot how you spell Cupid until like 3 hours ago. And I was like, oh, God.
Three Cupids.
I guess, could you also take us through like your current position? Like, where is you as a player right now on either your mini map or your...
You are the little green @ sign in your mini map, and to know where you are on the big map, you have to run into something.
Cool.
Like if you run into the edge, you can determine where you are based on what the edge looks like, that part of the edge looks like. Or if you get near the heat, you can usually tell where you are based on, or approximately where you are based on the heat. But if you want to figure out where you are, you got to figure that out yourself. I don't tell you where you are. Part of that was because I didn't want to send the entire map every time there was a change. Every time you put in something, it has to send, the server has to send you the updated mini map. And that map, I had to, the whole map, because it was crashing as an entire JSON thing, I have it byte encoded, so every room is 1 byte. Because it has to have a whole bunch of different bits of state information for the room, like whether it's collapsed or uncollapsed, what's in it, its heat level. But even that is like 1.7 kilobytes, so it only sends it every K, which is 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, looks like you got a neighbor.
What's your, I want to try and entangle.
Entangle and then player name. Echo, NEKO, it's in the top.
And is the heat growing?
The
heat getting bigger and bigger?
Yep.
Yep. It's pulsing out.
So now, if we want to teleport.
What type of other player information can you discern from being next to each other already too?
That's about it. What hacks do I have?
I think I have a firewall.
Corrupt, blind, corrupt.
No.
Oh, it looks like the heat is moving closer to you. Is that right?
I can't really see it from this angle.
I can't either. It looked like it was creeping in, but then it looked like you moved.
That's not real, but
That isn't real.
and now it's
Yeah, is that the heat right there to the right? And down a little bit?
the heat will show up as like a solid bar.
Go up a little bit. Yeah, is that the heat right there?
Yep.
All right, looks like we've located our player.
Not necessarily, I mean, one tile, kind of, but.
If it's coming from that direction, does that mean you have to be on the
Oh,
western
I'm
side?
Yeah, I'm on the left side somewhere.
Yeah.
I guess also a question on the programming side. How much of the networking code was made during the jam? Was it all
This was entirely made during the jam. I mean, I didn't make SSH or the
Yeah.
library, but this implementation was made during the jam. It's just the standard Go SSH library. Yeah, like my options for increasing buffer, or for dealing with map size, were increase buffer or redo code. I just hate websites.
Any other questions from the judges? All right, give it up for Isaiah. Here we go, we got our next project.
Next team is UMKC Bit Brigade. This is a college team as well, right?
Hello, well, we're getting up here. We are from UMKC. UMKC. We're the game dev club at UMKC, and this is a couple of our members that we were able to bring to Mizzou this weekend to participate in this game jam, and we're really excited to be here. So we're gonna get all of HDMI stuff set up. My name is Cameron. I'm the president of the club. We've done game jams just each semester. We do like a game jam just like a month-long thing on itch, and just learning how to make a game and all that. But this is our first time in person in a weekend, like hyper intense. Like it's so much fun to be here. This has been something that I've wanted to do for such a long time, and it's so great to like get to do it with all of my friends, everybody on the team. So we're getting it set up, and then Tommy's gonna tell you a little bit about the game we made this weekend. Yeah.
All right, so my name is Tommy. I'm the vice president of the Game Dev Club, and our game is called Haze, a 2D puzzle platformer where you have to manipulate your view between the present and the future to make it through every level. So in this game, you are Ramirez, and on your way to clock out of work, you realize your entire building has been entangled in a mysterious quantum haze. And to escape, you have to use your super light, which you will get soon, to flip between the present and future and make it through each level. And so all of the art was handmade, and the music, which...
It's good.
Music was all student make music, student make art.
The music's not being observed. Well, in this case, now we can see he's obtained his flashlight. And if he clicks, he can switch his view between the future and the present, coded by orange and blue. So mechanically, it relies all on quantum light, and certain objects will or won't be observed because light makes things real. And so you have to switch to get through every level, and you might find cute little cats along the way in every single level. All the art was handmade. Our team is consisting of both art majors and music majors. Bernice, she drew the splash screen that you can currently see on both sides of the screen. And as Trevor continues suffering through it, I can talk some more about the mechanics, where essentially whether or not you observe things controls whether or not they exist. So certain platforms might not exist in one timeline like it does in another timeline. Certain platforms, maybe you have to observe them for them to work. Certain lights might take precedence over your flashlight and require you to hover over it to keep it in observation. Or in certain other cases, there are, for example, platforms that will randomly decide whether or not they want to exist based on if you're looking at them. One sec. You also at times have to time your jumps with a lamp that can flicker because yeah, some lamps flicker between the present and past, but the only way to find out is to make your way through the haze. You want to talk some? Yeah.
So, in this jam, Eric was kind of suffering this whole time learning how to make Fmod work. I just made the music pretty quickly, and then he just had to try and make that work, because it turns out Fmod does not have native support for Godot, so we had to use a plugin, and there was a lot of errors he was having to deal with to try and make it work. Yeah.
So we have a couple instances of more adaptive music. So like in the very beginning, we hear like a muted version of just the drums and the bass of the soundtrack. And then when you get into the first room and flick that lever that changes the light above you, it opens up and you hear all the tracks. And so it's sort of like a, oh yeah, we're here, we're ready to go. And then there's a couple more instances where like in room 3, the track moves to a different section of the music. And then room 5, another section of the music, and that keeps developing as you go. And every sound effect has like a little bit of pitch variation, so nothing gets too, droning in the ears. And yeah, things like that, just keeping it fresh and a little adaptive.
Trevor, these next levels might get a little few difficult. Do you want to switch to using the mouse?
Oh, sure.
Because now we're introducing these switches that have to be observed to be real. Because otherwise, if you're not looking at them, who knows that they really exist? As Trevor continues playing, are there any questions from the judges?
I really like how you treated the arm hand. What kind of decisions did you make to end in this place with the arm and the hand?
We decided to amputate our dear friend Ramirez. The artist who did the character can talk more about it.
Yes,
so there was a lot of more difficulties in like understanding how, and initially we were all gonna do just 1/4, like every time an angle is put, it displays that. But second thoughts, we were like, it's kind of a lot more work for a very short amount of time. How do we make it easier? And so one of our programmers here, Blaine over here, Blaine and also Sam here, they recommended me to, instead of just doing more work, let's just chop the arm off and have that be following the mouse. And so yeah.
In this case, this is a switch that's not being observed by its own lamp, so he has to keep it in view or else the door won't open. And of course, John is athletic enough to switch his flashlight between hands every time he wall jumps.
Is it possible to run the music through the computer just so we can...
Technically, it is running. My computer has quiet speakers. I was thinking of using the provided Bluetooth speakers from our sponsors.
Oh, that would have been such a
Yeah, I accidentally turned it on when I was sitting over there, and I hope no one noticed. But no one observed it, so it couldn't be real.
How did you guys implement the fog haze?
Oh, so I did that. So, I knew like a little bit about particles, very little. I knew how to make particles. I did not think I was going to figure out how to make this actually work. Because it took me a long time and a lot of time on the Godot documentation to figure out that I can use a light occluder to like add collision to particles so that they specifically will disappear when they come into contact with the light occluder. There's also the option to have it instead be rigid collision, so all the haze would just be shoved off. But I thought it looked better to just have it all disappear. There was one thing that when the speed scale was too low, I turned it up. When it was too low, you could just like whip your flashlight around and it would just all be gone for like a short bit. But yeah, that was very fun to get working properly.
It's also very fun performance-wise to drop the entire haze into a level and watch your frame rate just tank. But that only happens in the editor.
I'm the other artist that worked on this. I did like the backgrounds and the props and all that. And I just wanted to point out our difficulty was that I have no pixel art experience. So I was just trying to figure out how the heck to work with pixel art programs, and you are struggling so hard.
I'm joking, okay?
Breeze, you had experience, right?
Yeah. I have some experience, but we also learned a lot. I also helped a little bit with the programming. These 2-day development has helped us learn a lot of new stuff. We struggled a lot, but we overcome these obstacles. So here we are. I hope you guys enjoyed our demonstration.
Yes, this is the final level. Up to this point, you can see there's no way to get down to the bottom. But as I said, observation makes things real. So what happens if you can't see? And just as we introduced this new mechanic, the rest of the game hasn't been observed yet.
Thank you, Bit Brigade from UMKC. Thanks for coming on out this weekend, guys. All right, we got 3 others for early submission, I think. I might need some other people to let me know your team name. Next up, we got the Game Boy Kid. Game Boy Kid. Oh, yep. All right, come on up.
Hi, everybody. My name is Soren Stapp. I am a freshman in high school. And this is my game, Quantum Slicer. It's going to be a difficult challenge to talk and play at the same time because it is reaction based. Yeah, do you want to?
I can play or talk.
Oh, I can talk.
Okay.
So the controls are J and K for A and B, and it's WAS, so this one's A. That's a scientist, and he's just put you into a science testing room where they're testing out their new, Just wait for it. Hold on, sorry. How do you destroy the objects hurtling towards you? With the power of our handy Omega laser, trademark, we use quantum particles and stuff to destroy the objects coming at you from the portals. And these objects do get faster over time. And there's a cool slash effect. You can't hear it, but it's really awesome. These do speed up over time. One of the main challenges I had for this game is getting the projectiles to launch at you, mainly just projectiles in general. This is my first project that I really used projectiles and stuff. And yeah, if you lose all 3 lives, well, if you miss 3 times, then he just kind of boots you out. And you can check your score by pressing the button right there. So if you press A on that. Yeah, there you go. Counts your score up there. The projectiles were a big challenge. I'm not a music person, so I was using a asset pack off of itch, but the music is still pretty good. All of the sprites and stuff are all made by me. I really enjoyed getting to stay here and program my game.
Where is it programmed in?
This is programmed in GB Studio, which is a game engine made for, designed to build games for Game Boy and Game Boy Color and that kind of thing.
I love the Game Boy aesthetic.
Thank you.
Howdy. I guess, thank you for this cool presentation so far. Any mechanics that you would like to add to this game now that you know a little bit more about your projectiles and more that you'd like to think about?
So I think more portals. that would be awesome. Like a difficulty setting maybe. Another one that I was just thinking about was maybe a practice room where you can set the speed specifically to how fast you're able to react to it, just in case you need a little bit of training, stuff like that.
I guess also specifics too. Was there anything that you had to cut for the sake of the Game Jam 2 with learning?
Oh, I had to cut a little bit, yes. So in GB Studio, this is one screen, and the max amount of unique projectiles is 5. So I could only have 5 different speeds before it maxed out, which is something I could also probably try to work around in the future if I were to come back around and mess around with it.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you very much, Game Boy Kid. Okay, we got 2 more left. We have Weird Mage. And that means EVD, you're the last name I have in my cup. If anybody else was an early submission, just come see me and we'll write your name down too.
Also, Joe, we are professional.
Weird Mage, professional group. How many years have y'all been coming?
4. Well,
some.
4,
Yeah.
3, 1, 2.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to have y'all. Who's talking?
You're okay.
You're okay. While he's setting up, I can just introduce ourselves really quick. I'm Sam. I was a programmer. I worked on a lot of the data kind of stuff, setting up all of our data structures, that kind of stuff. Thank you. This is Caden. Caden's first year here. We didn't know Caden before he came here, and he said, "Hey, do you guys need another person?" And he's super talented, and so we said, "Yes, please." This is Jasper. Jasper's one of the programmers, did a lot of great work making everything look very nice and getting a lot of functionality going. And this is Honor. Honor did a lot of different things, but did most of the writing for this game. And we have a member who isn't here. Her name is Nelson. She did all the art. Okay.
Perfect. So, yeah, let's check the audio real quick first, but since we've been having troubles,
Yeah, I couldn't get it. I turned the mic off. I tried to plug it.
yeah, we might just end up playing through the laptop speakers, and I might just project, and I'll put the microphone close to the speakers and see if that works. Let me try. Nope. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and let our intro cutscene speak for itself a little bit as far as to the premise of our game. So in thinking about our game, we were interested in exploring a practical application of quantum superposition, which is of course dating as fast and efficiently as possible. So in Entangled Love, you can date 3 people at once. But of course you are still you, so you have to say the same thing to every person. We're happy to play this, but do any of the judges or a mentor want to come up and give it a try? Anyone? Yeah, get up there! So we have controller support. We also have mouse support as well. Yeah. So we did end up implementing 2 different sets of 3 characters, and then we have 3 date conversation sets total. So we have.
Do we want to have people read off the lines?
Yeah, we could read it. Well, we could narrate. So Shrody says, "This is so exciting. I hope I can win a giant teddy bear." They're at the carnival. Paul Rudd says, "Sorry I'm late. You ordered me the most expensive thing on the menu, right?" And then Guido says, "This place is very cute. You picked a wonderful place." And it looks like you can't please everyone. So the way that this works under the hood is that every card has 3 different values. There's a funny value, a flirty value, and a sentimentality value. And based on each individual conversation prompt, they're expecting some sort of range in the responses for what's acceptable. So they'll react accordingly. Those were some of the pop-ups you saw to give feedback to the players. But you never know exactly what it is until you try. Looks like Guido was very happy with that answer. And so your goal...
Which character is he playing?
Sorry?
Which character is he playing?
Yeah, it's from your perspective.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So all 3 of these are people that you're dating at once in superposition. There you go. So your goal is to try to get all of their affection meters full before the end of the date, which, as it turns out, can be a little difficult, but there is strategy to it because each card will be consistent in the values that it has, so you can kind of learn as you go back. You can play again, maybe understand better. Okay, I know what Paul Rudd's looking for here. He likes funniness a lot. He likes a good joke, but every now and then you got to keep it real. So it depends on the conversation. The responses also will vary a little bit based on contextually how they received your response. So it's not always going to be the same exact thing. It's to the same effect, but they might, if they didn't really like your last response, they might be a little more off-put. You can see their expressions will change. They'll be a little sad. We actually set up a system. Sam actually set up this system for us to read in the conversation data from JSON. And so we wrote all of our conversations in a JSON format. So it looks like you were very close. Paul Rudd and Guido were just on the verge of being completely smitten. Schrody, a little bit less. But if you'd like to, you can go ahead and give it another try, or try another set of characters maybe. So as far as difficulty goes, the different levels will be consistent the whole time. So you can go back and replay, and it'll be the same. You'll draw different cards each time, of course. But future levels, to be more difficult, they get a little bit pickier in what kind of responses they like, and also it takes longer to fill up that affection meter. So the amount that the affection meter will fill up does vary based on the response. So it'll be, maybe they like it, but only a little bit, whereas some responses might knock them out of the park, and you'll get a lot of progress in your affection meter.
When you get to 100%, is there a cute payoff at that point?
They will be super happy. In a full game, what we'd like to do is have it, that's what the reward is, to unlock the next date once you've reached 100% with everyone. For the sake of the demo, we left them all unlocked. Oh, stone cold. Yeah, so we had a lot of fun implementing all of the various visual elements. Kaden did a lot of UI work. Allison did a lot of the artwork. Sam and I worked a lot on systems programming. I dabbled in a lot of different things. I helped with some UI. I did the music here that's playing. Kaden did the intro cutscene music. So very interdisciplinary. Honor did a whole lot of writing. It doesn't look like it just seeing it here, but there's tons of variations on every single line of dialogue. Every date is like six different sets of lines that need to happen for 3 conversations in parallel. Total that across 3 different dates, and you've got a lot of writing on your hands. So she really knocked it out of the park there.
Also cards.
Yes, the cards also. And all of them need to kind of make sense. So there's, aside from just the writing, you have to pick values that make sense for what are they expecting, what do these cards mean contextually.
One of the things I'm proudest of is that
we made our systems in such a way that they're very robust, so that Honor could write all her stuff the way she wanted to, and then we could just import it at runtime. And so none of this is like hard coded. We could easily extend it, make more content, make more cards, and I think that's really awesome. And it gives us a lot of flexibility in the future.
Who did the logo?
that was all
Allison.
If it looks nice, Allison.
That's nice.
Do we have any questions?
When a card is drawn, is it basically predetermined what card will be drawn for that question, or is it drawn randomly from?
It's randomly. You have a consistent deck that you draw randomly from.
How was the level design balancing for that?
I'll let Honor talk to that.
Yeah, that was a really interesting part of this. So there's definitely more tweaking I would love to go back and do, keep playing the level to make sure it all feels right. I did a little bit of that, but you could go on forever balancing. So it is written in such a way that it should be theoretically possible to perfectly hit all of them if you draw exactly the right cards. But it's also meant to be structured in a way you can usually make 2 out of the 3 of them happy, and you're trying to balance that juggling act. But that was definitely a difficult part of it, making sure you had a wide spread of cards that did different things, so that you had options, trying to make it all match the text so you could reasonably read into it, but there's a little bit of like social guesswork. It's definitely a puzzle that I spent a lot of time on.
What kind of conversations did you have about choices around color and the color palette within the game? Did you have a single conversation about that?
No,
you
absolutely did, because so I wasn't really a part of them, but Kanan may not remember that there were conversations between you and Allison about, well, okay, so we've got all these characters, and one of the things we wanted to do was switch up where these characters are. So, right, they have these backgrounds, and those are separate. And so we put them in, and they're like, oh, okay, does that background that's next to Schrody, does it look good with her? And the thought is, okay, we can modify that just a little bit for her, and then when we switch it to somebody else, we can also take that and be like, okay, we can modify it a little bit just for there. Like, it might look better with Guido if it's maybe a slightly different color and that kind of thing.
We also, with the line art, you'll notice it's just slightly off black. And that was something Allison was very adamant about, with the line art for the characters matching up with also all of the UI elements. And so that's something that we went back and added.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Team Weird Mage. All right, we had a few more early submission names to drop in the hat. So next we have EVD. And you are K-12, right? And bringing a Bluetooth speaker, smart. Problem solver. Yep, if any other groups want to pair up while you're waiting, that'd be a good choice.
My name is Abby. I'm a junior in high school, and I was working alone on this. I used C++ and SFML to write it, and it was written entirely in the space of the speaker. This is Waveform. Waveform is a game based on quantum mechanics. So even in the menu screen, we've got some quantum signs. The three colors are representing the three chromodynamic charges of quantum particles, red, green, and blue. But it is rendered using SDF fields, sign distance fields. And because of that, I can sort of smooth minimize them to create this interesting melting effect. The further things get away from the camera, the less defined they are, the more uncertain they are. Now, one other thing I can do, click and hold to tunnel. And if I tunnel through one of these things, oh, no. If I don't tunnel through them, that happens. It's hard to talk and play at the same time, though. But it is an infinitely generating world, and the goal is to just chase a high score, satisfying, play until you're not beat up on the rectangles. And yeah, if you dash through things, they leave behind qubits for you to collect. Anything that is a member of the red quantum field will disrupt your waveform, unless you tunnel through it. So we can wait for him to approach me. But yeah, it's a simple high score game, but it has a lot of, I made sure to implement a lot of quantum mechanics into it. I really like quantum mechanics, and again, it's very hard to play and talk. But yeah, my goal was to keep my scope simple, have a very polished thing. One thing I do want to touch on is the technical aspect of how the sign distance fields work. This is my own. This is not written in a game engine. This is written entirely of my own code. The GLSL shader that controls the rendering is based on several mathematical functions that can tell you the distance from a point to a shape. And by using a smooth minimum function to combine them, you can create those really interesting quantum-esque visuals. The sound design was also all made by me. The music and the music was made by me. The sound design are stock sounds that I added.
When did you use to make the music?
FL Studio.
You mentioned that the world is infinite. How is the world generated?
The world is generated in chunks, which is a very common technique for generating an infinite world in most games. Every chunk is about 1,000 by 1,000 in-game units. And they generate and they disappear behind the play area, which means if you revisit a spot that you've stopped observing, it will have changed and collapsed into a different possibility by the time you get back. So if you look on the edges of the screen, I visualize that by having everything sort of homogenized into the same waveform as it goes off screen. Yeah. Any other questions?
Were there different features that you had to cut in order to keep this low scope, high polish approach?
Yes, actually. If I have a little more time, I would have liked to add a little more variation in the types of enemies, sort of add a little more depth in that sense. But the more I play it like this, the more I realize that it works very good as a relaxing, simple, sort of satisfying experience rather than a super intense white knuckle game type anything. So I actually really like the way it turned out, and I like the fact that I eased up on the difficulty, even though obviously it's still a little bit difficult. But I like the fact that I eased up on the complexity, which really let it sort of settle into this niche, which I think it did its best.
Thank you very much.
All right, and next up we have Team Rocket. And you all are a college director.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Megan. We're representing Blazers Lab. I study educational psychology and stats, and I'm a fourth year.
I'm Rory, and I was the artist on this project.
Hi.
And Nanxi, I'm from the Information Science and Learning Technology, and also from IE Lab.
So we're going with a game called Entangled, and I don't know, do you want to explain the concept behind it?
So we kind of took the idea of entanglement and thought about what it would be applied to people. And kind of the first thing that came to our mind was friendship and how we're connected to each other and what happens when that falls apart. And we got this little game here.
Well, we want to read it out loud? Okay, I'll read it. Two particles, once connected, remain correlated. Even when separated, we are all entangled with one another. Act in your own space and trust that the correlation still exists. So it's a story between two friends, right, as Rory mentioned, and they're separated, but they're together. Just like when you're thinking of a friend, and then they call you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. I got into quantum this summer, quantum computing, or last summer, and I found it really hard to understand it, even from a stats perspective. And so I think it's really beautiful to look at quantum in a way that relates to human nature, because we all experience it. It's in stochastic processes. If you believe in indeterminism, which I do, then I believe this is a beautiful extension as well. Yeah. So do you wanna? I can hold up the mic while you talk about it. Lungshin has a really good way of explaining this. Now let's, oh yeah, the audio. We have beautiful sounds. Everything is hand-drawn by Roy. He's an amazing artist, so it is so beautiful.
You can play it on your phone technically if you try to.
Yes,
There are bits of sound that are kind of important, especially at the end.
Yes, it is phone compatible.
Okay, so. Okay, let's go, yeah.
We've got an ambient soundtrack in the back, even though you can't hear it.
Okay, so once you enter this room, like you can hear like a light flickering, and that's why we want to introduce the players, the mechanics we have, like the actions you do in the room A, which is your room. We'll have the out actions in the room B. So let's see. Turn off the light, and the windows is open. There's some breeze. And then now I kind of realize, okay, what I did will have a reaction in the room B. So let's try. Let's try with the drawers. Okay, you have the drawers. Yeah. And then in the room B, there's a snake pops up. And I hear a sound like,
Yeah, she laughs.
Yeah.
Like you can see her as well.
and I see there's some photo piece. And I click this. Oh, I think there are 2 photo pieces, and that means still have another 2 or 1 or 3. Like, so let's try to explore. Like, let's see. Oh, there's a cup of water. Oh, I make it spill. And then let's see what happened in the room B. Oh, the flowers. Okay.
That
Wow.
makes her happy. She's
Yeah.
like looking at the flower and then back to item.
Yeah, it makes our friends happy. And then let's back to the room A, see what happens. Oh, there's another photo piece here. And say, oh, it seems we need another one. And let's continue explore like where I can click. Oh, the light.
The cat.
Oh, the cat is purr. Okay, let's try the bed. Oh, there's so many boxes here. Like what can I do here? Okay. Oh, there's a one called donate. Oh, there's a game card inside.
The game says, if you can't read it, ducks? Question mark.
Yeah. And see what happened. Oh, there has the duck pictures on the wall. And let's back to the room A. Oh, we found the last photo piece. And now the photo piece combined together.
Do you recognize the 2 characters?
Yeah, it's us. Yeah, and we see a phone button here. Hey, I miss you.
Oh.
Yeah, that's our game.
So it's all about friendship and whimsy too. You not only get the ducks cartridge as well, so we kind of have a reference as well to Schrodinger's, many other games do, of like, you can click the box and cats appear in different pictures. So given more time, I think we would build in more of that randomness, that stochasticity, but as you can see, it was heavily inspired not only by like the heavy hex topology of the look of it, but also like small designs like the poly-X gate, kind of reminiscent of like Grover's algorithm too in the switch rooms design. So,
Any other notes?
Yeah, I think if we had more time we wanted to kind of have a win-lose state. Maybe the friends don't always reconcile at the end, and having different probabilities of what happens in room B based on what you do in room A, and that puzzle, really being able to expand upon that, I think is the direction we're going with it.
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because Rory made all the animations, so it was really cool to like, oh, they do this, okay, they're gonna switch to this, and it kind of follows a sequence as well. So there's like, what, 5 to 7 animations available for the character of the friend, in addition to all the animations for the objects. So it was really, really great to have a talented artist. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, question?
Yes, thank you for showing off your game. I guess, how did you approach choosing what is connected between the rooms? Was there a system you chose, or just whatever's cool, or? Yeah.
No, so I thought about.
Oh, yeah.
The window opening as a comforting breeze. It's all things, the snake can shooting out, making her laugh. It's little things that don't seem quite related, but maybe your brain correlate them to a memory, especially like between these 2 friends connecting it. The flower delivery. More into the plot of like in the picture there in the mountains, like they go out in the wilderness, kind of little dots, which if we could expand upon the rooms, I think can be an environment that has so much storytelling just within the items that are in it. So kind of finding little places we could do that. So each one, we initially kind of started out with mirrored rooms, that if you open a drawer, the drawer on the other one doesn't necessarily open, because that's not the entanglement and everything like that. And moved away from that to kind of push the quantum theme a bit more.
Yeah. It seems like we make this connection randomly, but we still have some meaning inside. For example, you open the drawer, like the open, like in the room be like the window will be open, and for the cup is spilled, like the water is spilled, but in the room be the flower is blossom. So like the objects, they are randomly connected, but we're still thinking about like there's kind of like some meaning inside this connection, that which like align with our like quantum like entangled theme.
Can you tell me what decisions were made? Can you tell me what decisions you made in choosing color palettes?
So, looked at what quantum computer looks like first. They're really pretty. They actually feel to me like a organic version of everything, like jellyfish. And so, started with that. You found some.
Oh, so I played Quantum Odyssey as well too. So I really, the like beautiful gates, the polyX, the Hadamard, as well as that display. So
yeah, trying to kind of incorporate with that, and then that was the background that came first, and then finding kind of cool and warm color palettes, but it was nice with it, and combining it all together. But definitely took initial inspiration from the computers and what they're like. So.
I guess it will be important to note as well. I can't speak for everyone who's colorblind, but these were colors as well that worked well for me, and it is designed as well with the photosensitive in mind. Well, n=2, that doesn't account for everyone with photosensitivities, but yeah, I think we tried to find a color palette that really spoke to contrast as well and worked for people across the visual spectrum. So, yeah.
Was there any technical challenges that you ran into, or things you had to really cut that you wish made it into the game?
Do you want to? Yeah, you can go first.
Animations were hard. The sequencing as well, because like they can, depending on what you do first, that changes the sequence of everything. I really do think just if we would have had more time, like we would have had more things in the boxes as well. Rory had like all these fun ideas, and the things that you find in the boxes affect the pictures on the wall. So that would have been really cool to add. What were you thinking about doing? Just more randomness, right?
More randomness, more puzzling it out, and kind of figuring out if I do this, how does it affect my friend? But also having to observe the other room to lock it in. That was a concept that we thought of initially that we didn't really have time to do, but I think would expand on the enjoyment of it and replayability, and that maybe it's random every time, so you can keep doing it. But I do like that it's story focused. Those are games that I get drawn to a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Team Rocket. All right, our last early submission is Axel Studios. Again, if I didn't get you down, but you got your game in at 5, please let me know. And thank you to all the early submissions. We're about a half hour into our normal judging, and we've already done an hour and a half of projects, so thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jim, my kid, and we made a game called Superb Position, The Quantastic Adventures of Uncertain Kitten. When's we're playing? So I did all the coding. They did some touch-up on the RPs of a couple asset packs. They did all the music, and help with the design, and we both worked on the design and stuff like that. So the idea here is that you're a cat, and you exist in both states at once. You're alive and dead. So when you die, you're in the underworld, and you become disentangled. So you have to go back and collect your spirit, I don't know, whatever it is. Which the whole entire time you're playing it's remembering your path. That weird Zoom glitch is weird. I'm not sure what that. So the entire time that you are playing is remembering your path. When you die and go to the underworld or whatever, your little soul thing travels back along the path the route you took a certain distance. And then if you're in the underworld, every time you get hurt, it moves it back further along, towards the beginning of the game. So there's one level. We try to think of, what kind of things we do with this mechanic. We added these blocks as like a puzzle, so they don't exist until you observe them, and you can only observe them in the underworld. And then once you do, in the real world, they're solid, and you can get past your. And some of the tricky stuff we tried to think of were some puzzles that had to do with where blocks existed, if they were in one world or the other. You have to kind of like keep track of, okay, well, here you have to die to get those blocks, and you have to know, you have to kind of like plan, where do I want my little orb to go before I die so I don't lose it, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just a bit. It's one level right now. We try to come up with other ideas for mechanics. We're going to do like a teleportation. You can warp through like solid objects and stuff like that. But it's really hard to think of an idea of like that where, at least in the game jam scenario, you make a level and it's just obvious where you're supposed to do that here, and it kind of takes the fun out of it. So, but yeah, if we were to still work on this some more, we might think of like different quantum tricks that we could do. But that's what we came up with for the weekend. They're almost at the end of the level, so yeah.
What's the lost state? Or is there one?
There is not one. So you can never get stuck. If every time you die, your little soul thing is back. Worst case is it'll end up back at the very start of the level, and it's sort of like a checkpoint. Like, can I get back there fast enough? Like I said, every enemy you touch in the underworld, it moves it back a little further, and it does move on its own. So if it's like, oh, I can't reach it right now, just wait and it'll end up back to a point where you could reach it.
Is the path when you die based on like the distance or the time? Like if you just stayed still for a little while and then died?
Yeah, so it only records if you move a minimum distance.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Adroit Studios. And like UMKC came away from KC, we had STL Game Dev come out with a couple teams. Tim Linder, can you raise your hand? That is Tim. I'll make sure to introduce y'all afterwards, and we'll try and see if we can find a game jam space and stuff like that. All right. I think that's it for the early submissions. Again, if anybody else was an early submission, this is your last chance. All right, well then we're going to take just a quick break. We're going to let people get some food. I'm going to do a little presentation, formally announce our judges. I think we have 5 to 10 projects left, so we'll do those last judges in just a few minutes. All right. Thank you everyone for those early submissions. This was our first year trying that. I think that worked out pretty well. We've still probably got a few kinks to work out. My presentation here might be a little off. I didn't know we were going to have that many early ones, but that's really great. All right, so thank you once again to our sponsors really quick. Thanks to MoreNet. Thank you, Unity. And thanks to Mitch Hyder's Side Project. This is our 10th annual Game Jam. Big thank you if everyone can take a minute and thank Roxy and Joseph. Roxy's downstairs. You guys got to be really loud for her to hear you. Hey, Roxy! Thank you. Without them, we really wouldn't be able to do most of this stuff. So, thank you all very much. All right, and thank you again to our mentors, Scott Courtney, Brian Nielsen, Eric Kaju, Hunter Darasinski, Lindsay Zider, Taylor Usher, and all the great parents who get the K-12 students out here. We really appreciate you all. And just want to introduce our judges now. It's a little bit halfway through, but
Thank you to all our great judges. So first up, I want to say hi to Nathan Laximano. He's our dev judge for today. He's actually an Adroit alumni. He worked on Mission Hydroside project very early on. Now he's out in the real world making big bucks and cool games, so that's awesome. He's a gameplay engineer in charge of enemies for Stormforge at Roboto Games, so he does kind of all the enemy work there. It's pretty awesome. Then we have Johanna Morgan. She is an art judge for us today. She's been a lead artist at quite a few companies, Strange Space Games, Red Ember, Holy Donut Games, and she is also the co-founder of Flyover Indies out in KC, so pretty awesome, and we're grateful for her to be here. And then finally, Night Q Fagers, he is our design judge today. He's got a pretty awesome resume. He's been CEO, VP of different companies, and right now he's the director of True Last Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. So any of you games who are really awesome and want to turn into a little company, this is the guy you need to talk to. Please. Round of applause for all our judges. Yes, thank you. Guys, there's also a little bit of a networking event, so feel free to ask for an email or something. It's going to be a late night, so we don't need a long conversation. But hey, could I reach out to you in an email? That'd be a really great move for all you aspiring game developers. 5-minute presentations. Everybody's been really great on this so far. Thank you very much. We've been moving along really well. And another important note, please disclose your use of AI. I haven't heard anybody mention AI yet. If anybody has used AI, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand or whatever. If you've already gone? Yeah, no, okay, so just come up and let's tell the judges if you already went. Otherwise, future groups, make sure you let them know how you used it. Not against the rules, just want to be clear with everything. Just quick overview of the judging criteria again. All the judges are scoring all these criteria 1 to 3. So in design, you got concept, scope, and usability. In art, you got visual appeal, UI, UX, and sound quality. And in the development side, you got bugs, efficiency, and difficulty. Prizes, we got 3 categories, K-12, college, and indie. They all have first, second, and third place prizes, $1,000 for that first place prize. And then we're going to have 1 grand prize for the best overall game. That's going to be the $5,000. That's thanks to Mornet again. And that's what we got. All right, so back to your scheduled programming. I will get back to the cup, and we'll draw some of our regular presentation games. If you didn't get your team name entered in the Discord yet, just come see me or enter it in there and I'll add you. First up, we have Mulligan. All right. Mulligan, are you a college team?
Grad student.
That's college, yep.
What? No, I don't.
Wow, okay. Solo.
Let's go, Luke.
All right. So I'm Luke Dunn. I'm a computer science master's student here at Mizzou. And the project I built, I have named Particle Golf. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the development first. I was thinking of either a golf kind of game or some sort of particle, like Plinko machine maybe. And I was envisioning that if a quantum particle kind of becomes a wave and then you observe it, it's going to be a particle and it's going to collapse and you're going to find out where that particle is. That was kind of the main driving force of the game. And the original idea of the implementation was probably too convoluted, but believe it or not, there's actually a game that I found online. So I'm going to show that first because it's prior work and I think it directly inspired me. I was able to, so it was written in SDL1 in C++, which is kind of an antiquated library now. But I don't know if you can't change the screen size, that's how old it is. But the idea is, so this uses a Fourier transform library in C to actually do this. But you're going to see, you can actually hit the golf ball, it becomes a wave, and if you click, it'll collapse, and you have to try and get it into the goal there. I don't know how well you can see it. But that I saw that online, and I was blown away, because that's kind of way better than what I was thinking I could ever do. And so, as a future idea, I want to put this into my game. But seeing that this already existed, I kind of decided to step back and do something not as sophisticated. This is particle golf. So basically, it's your top-down mini golf simulator. You can, you have a little power meter on the side, and it oscillates, and you have to try and get it to however strong you want to go. And in this case, this particular level, it has a hole in it, so you can't go too far out. But then there's sand traps, and they can, they stop you. You can actually create your own levels. And once I solve this one, once I get down to the actual quantum part of it, I'll show you how to make your own level. There is a water trap that I barely skidded by there. So the idea is, once you hit this quantum splitter, the golf ball particle is going to be split into multiple probabilities, and it will resolve, it'll collapse into one of those randomly. And then, there you go. And so the level files, I just want to show those because I designed the format. I did have, so being solo is pretty difficult, and that's why there's no, the graphics aren't really very tremendous, and then there's no audio. So I did use Claude to help me make these. And it did a somewhat decent job with the levels. It did a lot better job with some of the code that I had it generate. It did a lot of the collision and the superposition. But with the levels, let me just select the simplest one it made. There you go. And you can create levels of varying difficulty. But effectively, they're just text files that you can define lines, you can define line segments, rectangles. This is where you can add the splitters, and then of course you need the hole in the ball. But you can also add some color to them by adding a little asterisk beforehand. So that's how you can define the levels. So it's more extensible than what I've shown. And I'm sure you can come up with more interesting levels than Claude can. But yeah, here's another demonstration of the water. The idea is to go around it. Almost got a hole in one there, but I did not. So more sophisticated levels might have the splitters placed in inconvenient locations so that one of your three potential, the uncertain particles will end up in the water, or another uncertain particle might end up in the goal. But upon collapse, it could be that one of your particles that fell in the water is what it collapsed into, and so you'd have to restart anyway. So that's the idea behind that. And that's pretty much the game.
What's the biggest technical challenge that you'd say was, that you challenged?
So I should also mention, on that topic, I did this in C, and I used the raylib library. It was my first time using the raylib library for a real project. I've done tutorials with it before, but this is my first time actually giving it a go for real. And it doesn't have a function for everything, but it does a lot of the boilerplate for you, which was really handy, and it definitely made the difficult task this was a lot easier. But I think physics, it's always physics that are the most challenging. That's what I would say.
Cool. Did you how did you decide on the splitting and collapsing mechanic? And did you at any point think of any variations on that?
Yeah, I knew pretty much from the beginning that I wanted it to split and collapse. But I wasn't sure, this having it hit an object was a possibility. Having it somewhere in between the shot become a wave and then you can collapse it at any point in time. But pretty much the entire project I was thinking about a particle that is also a wave and can collapse back into a particle. That's what I was thinking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mulligan. Next up, Goobadoo. I see Goobadoo. Oh, they're coming, they're coming.
Let's go, Goobadoo.
You a college team? Awesome. Solo? Cool. I see a lot of solo groups this year. That might be some teams next year,
So, hello. So I did this entire game by myself. My game was the Unobservatory. So the entire premise behind this game was observation. The core game mechanic is closing your eyes. Upon closing your eyes, the state of yourself and the objects around you changes. So, for example, these pink blocks, or these pink black platforms, I just phase through. And then you have to collect the key card to the door to get to the next room. It's essentially a puzzle platformer. And like here, you have to time your jumps correct, basic stuff. Now here, you can't jump on the yellow ones. So you have to close your eyes in order, it changes the state from phase to solid. And so the downside is that you can't see them. The next obstacle is the observers. While these are on, you're observed even if you close your eyes. So you have to wait until they're turned off to go through. Now, what do I do here? Well, as indicated in the bottom left corner, if you press shift, the gravity flips. So every time you close your eyes, the gravity flips. Now, combined with all these obstacles,
There you go.
Thank you for presenting your game. Is there any mechanics you'd like to add on top top of that or cut features that you couldn't do because I guess solo team or just time constraints?
I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I think there were a couple. I think I wanted to add, if you close your eyes, there is a clone of yourself. Essentially, superposition, I believe. I can't remember which mechanic it was, but
I feel like if you had added, I feel like you could like come up with a good concept for a small horror game with this mechanic. Did you ever consider like adding enemies to it?
I did, but because of time constraints, I could never. I wasn't able to get to it. But I was essentially the Weeping Angels concept. I wanted to do that.
I assume there was no sound given a one-person team, but did you think about sound, and if you had a magic wand, what ways you might integrate sound into the game?
Essentially, I of course did want to add sound, but I wasn't able to. I had halfway composed a track for it, but I didn't get it finished. Otherwise, I was thinking just like the basic like jump sounds, but also perhaps a muted version of the song that would play when you have your eyes closed.
Thank you, Goobadoo. Next up is Goose Gang.
Hi everyone, we are Goose Gang. My name is Alyssa and this is Madison, and our game is Gangster Goose. So basically, you are a goose, and since you were a baby goose, your whole entire goal in life was to attain gangster status.
Yeah.
So you can either take the good route in life to attain the status or the evil route. And every decision that you make, whether good or evil, will affect the probabilities later on in the game. So let's get started. First, you are entered into the base world. There's a chest there. Your goal is to be able to unlock that, and there's two ways to do that. The first, at the top, you'll see the two progress bars. One way is to max out the skill bar. That is basically the evil bar, meaning that if you max out your skill, you have a 100% chance of winning in a fight against a villager. If you max out the outfit bar, that's the good path in life, and you get outfits by being nice to villagers. So first, if you can see there, you can teleport to the casino. So this is like a mini game basically, if you want to take the evil route in life. It's a low risk, low reward way to gain skill points. Teleport on in, and wait, do you want to go to full screen? And this is not just any blackjack, this is quantum blackjack. So it follows the normal rules of blackjack, but quantum. So if at any point during the round you like the dealer's hand more, you can perform a quantum shift and take the dealer's hand instead. So we'll play a normal round here. You don't want to hit there, but that's okay. I'm really bad at blackjack. Okay, let's say we want to become the dealer. So it'll follow normal rules. Since it's at 17, the dealer stays. The player will play according to normal by-the-book rules with a 10% chance of making a mistake. Play again. Nice, we won. Okay, so now we're at 1 skill point. We can exit, head on back. And now let's go to the village. You can earn more points and outfits this way. This is the main way that you can progress in life and try to achieve your goals. All right, so you're going to be presented with a villager. They will have a mood every single day, which is basically their probability of being good or evil. So the pirate is not in a very good mood. He's more likely to be evil. If you choose the wrong one, and let's say he's good today and you pick evil, there'll be a penalty and vice versa. Let's see what happens. We chose Evil Goose today.
Oh no.
It was Evil Pirate as well, so now they're gonna fight to the death. Let's see who won. Oh, we lost. So unfortunately our skill level is not high enough yet. We had that 49% chance of losing. We in fact did lose. Let's see who we meet this time. Oh, today's grandma. She seems to be in a pretty good mood. Still a chance of being evil, but we'll see today. She's nice.
Okay.
So thankfully, we chose Nice Goose for Nice Grandma. Let's see what happens. And she gave us a reward. This is an outfit. We are on our way towards becoming the ultimate good goose. So yeah, basically, if you choose the right one to match your villager, you will hopefully get something towards your goals. Yeah, you can just honk at the main space too, just for fun. And then to speed this along, since it's a demo, if you want to click the question mark, we're just gonna basically say that we chose the evil route. Let's say we won. Chest is gonna glow. Goose has ascended. And you win. If you want to show it again, there is an alternate reality in which you choose good goose. You're fully decked out in your outfits. Got a glow, a lei, and then a bucket hat. And it's happy. The villagers are here to celebrate with you. They love you. You chose good goose. Still attained your goals. But yeah, thanks, Goose. And this was all made in JavaScript. We did all of the art and cutscenes ourselves. The sound we got from free resources. Did use AI for code generation because I was the only developer. Madison helped with the cards, thankfully, very thankful. But wanted to focus more on the art and everything too. Yeah.
Thank you for this wonderful game. I guess there's a lot of probabilities going on in this game. How did you settle on some of those probabilities and also the difficulty scaling? Was there a lot of thought and iteration there?
Yeah, so one thing I forgot to mention too is with the villagers, if you're nice to them, their mood will increase the next time you meet them. So it's like you're building a relationship with them, and if you're evil, it's the opposite that happens. So kind of the main thought process with this is that there should be some on each side of the spectrum, right? Like we had the one villager who was more likely to be nice, the one who's more likely to be evil, but because those probabilities can change throughout the game based on your decisions, it kind of allows for you to ultimately choose the path that you want to take. Any other questions?
I feel like I gotta ask, are there more outfits for the games? Is it just a hat, or is there multiple hats?
So yes, if you actually want to click play again, and then do the full thing again. So there's 3 different outfits, as you can see at the top line too. So it's the hat, the lei, and then the glow, if you can kind of see on the bottom of the goose. Those are 3 different things that you can all get from the villagers.
Thank you, Goose Game. All right, next up we have Triple Fault Games. Oh yeah, all right. This is an indie pro group.
Hello, we are Triple Fault Games. we this year made a puzzle game called Tom Light. It is a Sokoban-inspired game based off of quantum science. I helped with level design, code with Kyle here. Kyle is our music professional. Miles is in charge of the coding in all aspects. And Landon is our lead artist. And I will pass down so everyone can talk a little bit about what they did while I had done with the game.
So there are 3 tracks in the game, one for the title screen, one for the first set of levels, and one for the second half of the set of levels. My tech stack that I used this year is, I just used Reaper as my DAW, but this year we integrated Fmod into Miles's custom solution. And with that we got spatialization, depending on what type of screen the actions are happening on. One thing I would have done a bit more with if we had like a week-long jam is do a lot more dynamic like assets like into the tracks. So you'd have like maybe a little bit of a drum or something, you're near a certain object, but for the sake of the scope of a 2-day jam, we kind of concluded that was probably a good thing to leave for a polished stage. What's your next?
This game is, we didn't use a game engine for this. It's custom C++ code base with custom like editor tools and stuff like that. Custom rendering pipeline and
So, I'm the artist, and everything, all the assets are made in Photoshop, and the animations are done in Spine 2D Pro. It's a great program, really easy to animate, uses Spline, almost like a 3D animation that uses a skeleton, but with just 2D images. The palette was cyan and red. They complement each other on the RGB color wheel, and yeah, it's entirely 2D engine, no 3D. Just a lot of parallax and blur.
So Aaron ran through the first, I believe 6 levels. The mechanics that you saw is you have we call it the reflector because we're in the reflector. But what that mechanic was inspired by was when we looked up kind of how quantum tunneling like actually worked. And it turns out that when like particles like are quantum tunneling, there's a reflection of the wave that happens, which inspired the splitting of the night. The movement of the 2 nights is controlled by just your one player controller, so that's kind of like an entanglement thing. And when you saw the beam coming out of the eye statue thing, that's just for visual clarity. We call that, actually just like our other entrant here, we call those observers. And if you get observed, your night will collapse to that position. In this stage, if you want to go ahead and progress, the trick to this one is you're actually standing on top of the other night to get across. But that alternate palette one, the purple, like darker looking one, we call that one the unobserver. And it does the opposite of what an observer does. So this is one of the last 2 levels. Hopefully if you want to try us out later, you will have forgotten the solution. Let's see. Yeah. So one of the parts that was kind of fun with the level design is having my jam co-creators here test them out and break it and say like, oh, actually this one's really easy to solve because you left the wall open on your level editor, and I was like, oh, oops, so I had to fix that. But a lot of the puzzle comes from like how you use the walls and the terrain to offset so you're in a specific place so that when you do a movement, it doesn't actually put you in the beam of something, way of something you don't want to be in. So I think we can just, anybody else have anything? Or can we open for questions? Yeah, okay.
You mentioned having a custom editor for this too. What were the, I guess, advantages to using that? Is that mostly just comfort, or did that enable you to use certain like polish elements here? There's a lot more.
It's it's a lot of like familiarity and with the custom-made tools and the speed of development. It's a pretty lightweight code base and editor, so we're not ever like waiting around for shaders to compile or whatever. It's just nice to be able to have control of everything and not be dependent on the way that Unity wants to do things or whatever, even if it's not quite the right fit for the specific game.
How did you make a decision about the, I'll call it the hair? Because I'm hypnotized watching the hair move as the night travels along.
So Spine recently, I guess maybe like a year ago, added physics constraints. So I can actually simulate physics in Spine, and Miles has Spine integrated into his engine, so the physics will just run really nicely. It's just, I constrained maybe like 6 bones on his like feather, whatever that is, on like the knight's helmet. And they act, as physics bodies, bones. And I can just play with the weight, the inertia, the mass, yeah.
Any mechanics you really wanted to add but didn't have time to?
Yeah, some natural extensions we're thinking about would be reflecting multiple times over another reflector. So if you split and then one of your sort of halves splits again.
Another mechanic that we kind of started workshopping on the first day, but realized we just needed to keep it more limited, is the idea of, I kind of called it a flux box, because there's the idea of quantum flux where things might be in existence or not, and sometimes they might just pop in or out. And the idea behind that one would be like a piece of terrain or a box that would also be affected by the observer or unobserver, so that if you needed to cross a piece of terrain, you might have to move an observer to point at that wall, which would then make, or I guess the floor, not the wall. So you could walk on that piece of floor, or maybe point the unobserver at a fluxing wall, so that you would have to open that pathway through.
How many levels did you guys create?
There's 9 here, and in the level editor I tested it out with making the original Sokoban level from 1982, but that wasn't original, that was some guy who made it in Japan, so. So yeah, that was our presentation.
Very nice, true to fault days. Coming up next, Como Girls Who Game.
This is a K-12 group, correct?
Yep. Hello, our game first of all, our team is Girls Who Game. We're a pretty small team here, mostly girls as you could guess. And our game is Quantum Cat. It's a game about a cat who's stuck inside a quantum computer on its last leg, about to overheat, about to burn down. Scary stuff, I know. Yeah. But yeah, you're trying to escape. So for our project, we kind of made it like an endless runner, kind of similar to a lot of other games that are pretty simple. We made our thing pretty simple so we can kind of hone in more on some design elements that are more specific. And yeah, so right here we have level 1 and endless. Our most refined version is endless, so we'll start with that. And there's the gameplay. As you can see, you're jumping over some obstacles on the floor, and as your score goes up, you can see you get a little bit faster. One of our main features is the fact that in midair, if you press down, you can loaf. And when you loaf, you go through some obstacles, specifically aerial ones, and that might seem really, really good for a game about avoiding obstacles, going through obstacles, but there are some obstacles that you can't loaf through. You'll see them pop up once you get to 1,000 score. We haven't done that yet. As you can see, as you will see, there are bugs. You cannot loaf through the bugs. So, you haven't seen much of this yet, but as you go farther in, you'll see like situations on screens that you will, there'll be a bunch of stuff that you have to like avoid, and you'll have to like find a gap in like an opening between a bug and between like a bug, a landing like obstacle, a floor obstacle, and an aerial obstacle that you all need to like cut the gap between. And as you see them come up in front of you, you need to visualize where you'll go with your jump height so that you can kind of thread the needle. Like if it was timed just a bit later, you could have like avoided that, you know? But like, again, it's more about like visualizing where you'll go with the different jump heights and seeing which gaps you can cut through so that you could avoid all obstacles. And if you would notice, every time we die, we have a restart button, but as you'll see coming up, there is something else that we could do. Actually, we might not get to see it. Oh, but as we can see here, restart and bonus level. Our scope was a bit more grand than this. We wanted to do a bit more than this, so we tried to program in a level. We did not get that finished. It has this cool feature where you have to, there's a level that we built and has a cool feature that once you die, you get to manually restart the game so you can die. It's a really cool feature. I cannot believe we thought of that. It was really hard to think of, but yeah, we put that in. It's still running. I don't know what's running on, but it's certainly running. So yeah, we wanted to kind of do more than that. Like if we would have more time, we'd expand on that, create, you know, more refined level and create more levels. I was the one who worked on the level that did not get finished. I wanted to do a different thing for the level, but I kind of realized that we didn't have enough time to do what I wanted. I was right. So all the art was done by Rosa. She's a great artist. She made backgrounds, tiles, the cat, all the cat's animations, including the loaf. We love the loaf. And
yeah, I just want to mention like some story elements that Dale didn't get to mention. I was planning on making cutscenes for the game that I didn't get to do that, but I was hoping through the images I did make that the story kind of did go through. And kind of just like the cat, it's also kind of like curiosity killed the cat. It cat got a little bit too curious, ended up in the computer, and now we're just now trying to survive in the computer. And I was also going to mention like the credits, like I did our data level design, and Mrs. Lindsay did a lot of the coding, but me and Dale also helped with the coding. And Mrs. Caitlin was our manager and helped us through like getting us priorities set, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 priorities, and I just wanted to thank everyone for helping the game process, and it was really fun. This is our first game jam, and well, me and Daniel's first game jam, and it was just a really fun weekend, and I'm glad I got to do it.
Yeah, this is really cool. I guess, how did you decide on what obstacles or bugs to spawn? Was there like some sort of like, when you go later on, there's different things that spawn? Or?
We created like a script that like automatically spawns different obstacles and enemies, and something spawned once you got to a certain score, as we saw with the bugs. So we kind of want to make it harder as it goes on, but a lot of it came from like the speed increase as you go on farther. But yeah, we just created a script that generated obstacles from a set list that we had. We had like floor tiles, hanging electrical circuits, floor obstacles, and bugs. So that's what we did.
Nice. What programs did you use for the art?
We use.
Okay, for the animations, for like the pixel art, I use Piskel, a free website online, and for all the backgrounds and I use backgrounds and the menu design, I used Adobe Illustrator, which is a vector program which you don't usually use for art, but for some reason I'm good at it, so I did that.
Thank you so much.
Great job, girls who game.
Next up, we have Slugbug. And we have an asynchronous demo here, so I'm going to be helping out. Hello. Okay. We are Team Slugbug. Our game is called
Time Collapse. It is multiplayer and it is only completable with multiplayer. You have to have 2 players. Our thought process on this, we wanted a somewhat short puzzle game. We had a few puzzles in mind that we wanted to complete. The other main goal for this project was to do multiplayer, which I had never done before. I did all the coding and she did all of the art. We either setting the tile maps or gathering assets like sounds and other things. So I guess let's get started. Okay, so now that we're connected with each other, we'll start the game. So as you can see, me on the right. Okay, it's a little delayed, but so I am on the right. I'm in the future, which is an apocalyptic future. I'll give you more stuff later. Sorry. So is it frozen right now? Okay, the stream is frozen, and there's no sound currently. Okay. So there is music and water going. As you can see, there's a little stream over here. Okay, so it is a puzzle game. As you can see, you probably could imagine that you're trying to get out of this sewer, which is where we are right now. There is a pipe dripping water with some dirt next to it, so I wonder what I could do. Another goal of this thing is to have to communicate to beat these levels. So you could say I have a seed here and I have water over here. So of course, the quantum mechanics of this are that one player is in the past and they're creating another superposition so that there's another possibility for a different future, and it is only real once you observe it. So once they click observe, then now that there's been a seed there, in the future a vine has grown. So I can now climb it to get out of here.
It usually makes a really cool sound when you observe, but and that's not currently working.
So now that we are out of there, we're on to the second level. So if I walk around trying to see where I can go, at the bottom you can see the road is too long. So I wonder what I could do to get down a long road. There's a car here, but unfortunately in the future this tree has crushed it. So is there any way you could fix that? Okay, move it away, and then of course, after we observe it, now it is not crushed by the tree. So I can use it to get to the next level. All right, now we have a board up here and a few gaps that I cannot cross. So Is there any way that you can help me cross?
And there's the communication aspect because I can't see where the holes are on his screen, and normally we wouldn't be able to see each other's screens at all. We sort of base this on the game Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which is where one person has a manual and the other person has a bomb, and you have to walk them through how to defuse it without being able to see.
So once we observe, the log is now here in the future. Oh, well, sorry, I wasn't looking at my screen. Okay, there's another gap here, so we're going to have to get across that as well. Of course, once we observe it, now the log has always been there. Okay, so on to the next level. We are entering a nuclear plant. There would be more of a story. We unfortunately were a little low on time on this project. So in the future, we can see that there's a dead body with some symbols written, which, of course, you wouldn't be able to see the buttons if you were on separate screens. But so I would say I have the symbols that look similar to like an A, an S, and an X. So if you click those in the right order, there's a sound that plays that unlocks the door, and then you have to observe the door once it's opened for you to actually progress. And then we are on to the final level, which is the button to presumably the nukes, and this is the off button. And then clicking it, you can click it, brings you back to the lobby. So there is not a very great ending, of course, but that is essentially the game. So.
Thank you. Yeah, wonderful work. I know multiplayer can be a beast sometimes, especially on game jams, I guess. With that said, what sort of technical challenges did you encounter when trying to do and support multiplayer for this? Or were you just perfect at it? I don't know.
No, multiplayer was a big hurdle. I don't want to say I gave up, but I was about halfway through day 2, or yeah, I guess day 2. And I had to take a very long break from it because I just could not figure it out. But I believe now that I do understand it, I can at least do it better in the future. Yeah, I'd say that did lose a lot of time, and of course I would love to polish more things, cutscenes. I would have added to the start, the end, maybe even in between. There are sound effects, there's music, and there's the thing for the observing sound, but that's pretty much it. We had a lot more picked out, but not enough time to implement, so.
Do you have other ideas for how future characters would influence the past player?
That was a big thing. I almost didn't do the idea because, like, how do you have one player, influence the other? That was the biggest idea was the symbols because you could see something in the future, and mainly that was kind of the downside. Like the future player could really just tell you what to do in the past. So I had to just figure out ways to reveal things like where the holes are and things like that. So I couldn't really think of things where you could influence the past, but that's what I got.
How much of the art was in-house made from this gathering?
Almost all of the backgrounds were tile sets. There were some props that I did hand make. The character was completely made by hand, frame by frame animation, but
Animation was great.
thank you. But the majority of the backgrounds were tile sets.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I also noticed that you had some shader effects, especially with like, the transition in and out. I guess, did you also work on that? So what was the process for that?
Oh, we did not work on that. We got that from somewhere, other than implementing it, of course. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Slugbug. Looks like we have three more projects. Next up is Karen Creations. Coming from the back. Are you all a college group? Yes. Yep, cool. And we have 2 more after this. Next will be Vadium, and after that I have Bulldog Nation. If you're another team you need to present, you're not one of those 2, come up and see me.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Yep. All right. I just want to start off by saying thanks so much for having us here. We are Caring Creations. We are 4 Mizzou students, 3 sophomores and 1 junior, 3 computer science and 1 journalism. And we're going to start off our game with just a little bit of exposition, which I'll talk. So. Jade? Jade, are you listening? I know, I am just as excited. The first handheld quantum processing unit the world has ever seen. Well, I should not say handheld. The processing at the atomic level creates an increased risk of quantum tunneling. Do not, under any circumstances, touch it with your hand. So this is Phantom Light. This is our game that is sort of equal parts entanglement, quantum tunneling, and superposition. As we move around the menu, we'll be able to see a little bit of this mechanic at play here, where we can see the menu buttons are superpositioned, and as we observe one, it appears while other possibilities are ruled out. And as we get playing, we'll be able to see this mechanic in action. So this was one of our first ideas that we ended up wanting to have some sort of puzzle game where we use our main character, Jade, who has the quantum device embedded in her hand, which she's using as a tool to observe these superimposed objects, which you use to complete puzzles. And as you stop observing them, you'll see that those possibilities reappear. So this was, we wanted to see, at first, we knew that we were going to use the blocks, but then we wanted to see what else we can use this superposition mechanic with, which you'll see as we continue. So you'll see you can deactivate the first box so that you can get the second one and move on to the next level. Now, I'm in journalism myself, so I did most of the art and sound design for this game, and I will pass it off to my friends Raquel, Henry, and Caden here for more explanation on the coding.
Hello. I was responsible for the superposition of the boxes and some entities you'll be able to see really soon, right here. So, if you couldn't guess, we were inspired by Schrodinger's cat a little bit. Schrodinger's cat in a box, so that's where we kind of got those ideas from. The entities work a lot like the boxes in that there are multiple possibilities for where it could be at any time, but if you're looking at it, it's locked into one place and all collapses down. And if it gets too close without you observing it, even if you are observing it, if you get too close to it, it'll hit you, and then you can see your health at the top left will go down and you'll be punched back. For the superposition implementation, it was really just about having them, each can have multiple positions, and then when they're observed, like I said, it all collapses down. It's pretty simple on that front for how it behaves, even though it took a lot of trial and error to kind of figure out how that mechanic would work. And so I was responsible for both the boxes and the entities, getting that to work. And then Henry over here was responsible for a lot of our character and other things.
Yeah, so I do want to give a quick shout out. All of these sprites, animations, everything was done in the Game Jam. So a lot of my work was kind of pulling those assets and sprites into Unity and making them kind of work together to make this character up here. And then kind of creating the systems that we use to interact with those boxes, the cats, stuff like that. And you will see, so right now, Jade is in the unlit state, but if she flips over to use that flashlight embedded device, you can see, right, we toggle those elements. And I'll give it over to Katie to talk about
how we do that.
Yeah, so one of my big goals for this is to make it really performant so that it could operate on literally any device. And so a big problem with that is how do you see where the light's going and keep it performant? The solution I went for was raycasts, which I would assume a lot of you would also do. But raycasts aren't super expensive when they're not done every frame, but we do it every frame. So one of my big goals was to try to figure out the best way to reduce those amount of raycasts while still making sure that any amount of light that'll hit any of the boxes will still pass through. And I think we did a pretty good job. It runs at about, I believe, 360 frames per second on my computer, which is a lot more than the monitor's refresh rate. But overall, that was a big goal. And then there's also a lot of vector math involved, which I'm not amazing at, but we eventually made work through a lot of teamwork, which is really nice to do. But yeah, would you like to talk more about the design?
Sure. So as you can tell, with the box and the cats, everything we wanted to be kind of based off the Schrodinger's cat problem, with the cats simultaneously existing in multiple spaces. And for the level design, we kind of wanted to maintain the kind of vastness and sort of we made this to be sort of a horror game. To kind of explore the vastness and unknowingness of the quantum realm, but as you explore to get familiar with those techniques and eventually learn to thrive in this absurd situation. So as we enter kind of the end of the game here, you'll see that Jade can make her way over, again using the superposition to move around, and as we reach the end here, we can see that she actually splits into a superimposed version of herself that no longer has the quantum device. And this is where we would continue the game in a way where the character has much more limited observation and to continue that story. And if we were to continue it, we had a lot of other ideas of different items we could implement, including doors that allow you to teleport or keys that unlock things that would also use the similar mechanics.
And 2 points I'd like to make is that we do have sound, but unfortunately this HDMI cable is eating it up. So if I unplug it, which unfortunately won't be able to see my folders, you will be able to hear it in the cutscenes and jumping and turning the lights on and off and all the boxes, they all make sound. So it's very unfortunate that you weren't able to hear that. And then another thing that we strive for is that no generative AI in any way was used during our creation. We made everything by scratch, and I believe the only thing we ever used it for was asking, like, how would this function work? Like, how does it work within Unity's documentation? And that was pretty much it. So we're really proud of doing that, and I think it was a big goal for us. But yeah, if you can hear the audio design, it was done really well. So unfortunately, that HDMI cable was made it unable to be done, but yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things I noticed, I really like the cat and the enemy too that you have over there. How does that enemy logic work to navigate and track the player? Do you have anything complicated to do with the environment?
I did forget to mention that, thank you. Yeah, we use an A-star library just to do the character tracking and so there's the tile map and everything we have in the 2D game, and then on that we also have a graph of a bunch of nodes. So about every tile, or a bit smaller than the tiles, just for more accurate tracking around obstacles and things. There's nodes, as we have in a shortest path finding algorithm, because A-star is just the shortest path finding algorithm. So our AI is essentially just traversing the nodes, finding the shortest, most direct path to our player. And we have layers, obstacle layers, that would prevent it from trying to go through the floor or any other kind of lifted platform or anything like that.
Is there background music?
Sure. During the level, there is not. We sort of wanted to maintain that emptiness of this sort of quantum limbo. So instead, and unfortunately we couldn't hear it, but there is sound design around the lights turning on and off. Whenever a box is identified, it plays a little sound. But there's a different sound indicator for enemies that's a little more horrific. Also, when you get attacked by enemies, it sounds pretty scary, which unfortunately we couldn't show. So yeah, So yeah, we can hear that there. So, but yes, I think maybe in future levels it would make sense, something we'd implement, but we decided it wasn't right for this part of the project.
We did have a title soundtrack. We didn't get to actually.
So what can you all tell the rest of us about the benefits of having someone from journalism and then a bunch of CS folks? How did that, were there some unique benefits of backgrounds there?
Whew. Well, as the journalism major, I'll say this was a lot of fun for me. I got roped into it by Kaden here, who was like, hey, you want to kind of be our resident creative for the Game Jam? And I was like, sure. So I learned how to draw pixel art in 1 week, and then implemented it as best I could, which I think it came out pretty well. But to have that outside perspective and to see all the coding wizardry that goes on behind the scenes while I'm over here drawing the character walking and such and scripting out the story and everything, that was definitely a hugely unique experience.
And to continue that, I think it was really helpful to have a journalism major on, because as computer scientists, we're always looking for like efficiencies and how to do things like the right way. But there's a lot of times where I'd be making something and he'd say, why does it look like this or do this? And I'd be like, that's not the best, it's not the most efficient. But it didn't mean that it didn't come across the best. And so it was really, really nice to have that kind of perspective, which I think really helped our product become even better overall, which was really nice.
Thank you very much. Next up, Vadium. You a college student?
I'm not.
Indie?
Not
Occasionally?
really. I haven't released a game before.
Are you in school?
No.
Okay, you're indie.
Okay, I am Joel. So on Thursday night, I just happened to watch a video about quantum computing and how in the very near future, quantum computers will break a lot of encryption algorithms that we have. And then the next day it turned out, when I came here, that quantum is the theme of the jam. So I decided to go with the theme of a quantum super hacker. The premise is that you invented quantum OS and you have the best decryption algorithms in the world and you're using it in a well-intentioned way for good. There's no title screen, so that's why you see this image, but I will jump into it in a moment. That's the audio. Alright, I'll just roll like this. Okay, so this is an incremental game, so it is focused around fast feedback loops and quick progression. So alongside the main mechanic, I wanted to have a light narrative element, and so for each level there's a little bit of flavor text, and so in this case, your first target that you're starting out with is a neighbor, v02, who has a ring camera pointed into your backyard for, quote, security purposes. So you have to try to work to disable that. So the main mechanic is the lattice, and your goal each time is to earn as much data as possible and then purchase upgrades, and then you repeat in a new level. So you just click in order to decrypt a node, and
you continue until you run out of cycles. And your goal is to strategize in such a way that you earn as much data as possible. And so you get power-ups as you go along the way. So in this case, we have this power-up here, Schrodinger's cat. So it has a 50% chance to KO a node, otherwise you gain qubits in this round. And so your two primary stats are coherence and qubits. Coherence acts like your HP, and qubits is like your attack. So whenever you trigger a defensive node, it will block the surrounding nodes. And you can either try to work around it, or you can try and destroy it. So let's try and use the power-up that we have here, and let's see what happens. 50% chance. Completely demolished it. All right, so we've got 3 cycles left, and we're going to continue. And so we found, by exploring the lattice, we found a terminal node, and this is what we want. This gives us as much data as possible. And but we only have 2 cycles, so we might not be able to destroy that in time. So now the round is over, and we're going to go straight to the upgrades now. And so you have a few upgrades here. So why don't we change Schrodinger's cat into the Schrodinger's terminator and make it cybernetic, and it's slightly better. It's going to give you a 67% chance to KO a node now. So we'll go with that first and go back into the level. We're going to continue in the easy level for now and see how that goes. So it's a little different this time. Picking up the power up again. Let's try and use it on this here. Okay, so we got that data there, and we should just go for the regular nodes because we don't have enough attack to be able to get those terminals. So we're back to the upgrades. We're going to go ahead and buy more cycles, so that gives us more turns in each round. So we're going to take this upgrade here, and let's go to the next level. This is a little harder, it's also a little bigger. And so the theme for this one is you're hacking Ultramart, because their self-checkout machine asked your 78-year-old grandma for a tip, and that's not okay. So we've got to deal with that. So we're going to go ahead and explore this bigger lattice here. We've got a terminal here. We can definitely get this with 7 turns. So we're going to harvest that, and we got 20 data, which is very good. And we've gone to this defensive node here, and we'll just use the cat on it. Let's see if we get that. Okay, we got that. All right, and we go back to upgrades, and there's always a lot more upgrades. So this one is really cool, entangled matter. So this makes it so blutons can spawn. I made that up, but so decryption of these blutons will cause chain reactions if you find them. So let's take that and go back into the big level. And here we go. So it turns out there's one right next to us. Let's see what happens. So we immediately get the next ones. And we're going to continue on, keep exploring. Here's another bluton. Let's cause another chain reaction here. That was a bigger one. I'm going to take the cat power up and go for that terminal as well. We missed that time. But it boosted the attack, so that's easy, and another chain reaction there, and I'm just going to harvest as much data as I can, and now I'm done with the level. So now remaining are some simpler upgrades, so you can increase your attack and increase your coherence, or increase your cycles, and so that's one thing that's always going on in this game, is you're always growing in power, getting new abilities, and that is very common in incremental games, is just experiencing a very cool progression of power. That was a pretty cool chain reaction there. Yeah. So that is pretty much what I have right now. I suppose I'll open for questions.
Yeah, this looks really polished. I guess one of the questions I have is, how are the levels generated in between the runs? Is this all handcrafted? Do you have a certain algorithm that you use?
Yeah, so it's handcrafted because I did not have time to do the procedural generation, but
I would definitely do that in like a full version for sure. So there's like 2 versions of each of the levels right now, and it just randomly picks one.
Did you do all of the art yourself?
So for the art, anything that is not an icon, I did, so UI stuff, and then about like 20% of the icons I did, like the cat, the different like regular colors, like the blue tons and the regular stuff. But the rest of it is asset packs.
Tell us a little bit more about you. So you're not a student, you've never published a game, but clearly you've got skill and passion. So what?
Yeah, so I'm a programmer and musician. I have never played a game, I've never released a game, but I very much want to, like that's a goal this year, is to actually commercially release a game. And I love the fact that games are a place where you can, just like a lot of different creativity converges, right? Music, writing, programming, art. Yeah, so that's my
Is there any considerations related to the audio design or mechanics? Because I know you mentioned being a musician as well.
Yeah, so when it comes to the music, so you can't really hear if you're not the judge, but so I went for a sort of lo-fi kind of sounding music because it's not a very serious game. It's not supposed to be too it's supposed to be casual and relaxing basically, and satisfying at the end of the day. So I felt like that fit pretty well, and I'm using a lot of like retro sounding sound effects. Yeah, and so I did record some sound effects myself, like the robot cat meow. That was me in my motel yesterday evening, several times. I hope nobody heard me, and I put some effects on it. So, all right. I will play just one sound effect here.
Thank you, Vadium. Up next we have Bulldog Nation. You all college group?
Yeah.
Cool. And the last one after this is Dad Games. Anybody else have a group? Come see me.
Our game was Indeterminate Outlaws. I'm Spencer Henderson. I'm a junior computer science here at the
I'm Zach Murray. I'm a junior computer science and math student here.
I'll go ahead and show you the game. Indeterminate Outlaws is like a 1v1 Western shooter. So you can join a server that we built and matchmake with other people that are on the server. And you'll join into this game where it kind of forms the world around you as you move. So you can't see the tiles or places that you're not on. We kind of designed it to, you gotta learn and view the place before you go there, and then you get to go ahead and fight your friend or someone random that you meet online or, matchmake with.
Yes, the idea here is like an unwritten chunk would be like something that's like indeterminate.
Or like a quantum superposition, right? And once the chunk renders, it collapses, and once you kind of block it out, it generates a new chunk there in place of the old one. So here we'll go ahead and do a game. I'm going to reload that.
So we're going to matchmake with each other.
He found someone else. Someone else joined the lobby, so he'll play some random guy.
So as you walk, the world around you kind of forms. And the camera sometimes shifts into your feet like that if the floor is low. But there's decor and buildings all form on the chunks, and I'm not sure who this is, but I'm gonna go ahead and shoot them. And on their screen they're taking damage. There's like a hurt vignette, and there's some sound effects for reloading and things like that. And they're not shooting me back. It seems like they're being nice, but
See if I can do it.
Yeah, you would see like yourself taking damage and stuff, but Spencer's too good, so unfortunately he didn't take any damage. So
Yeah. So I can go back to the main menu and you can re-match up with anyone else that wants to join.
yeah. So here's the domain name. You can join right now. It'll probably overload our server because it's like really cheap, but it should work. I mean, it might be a little bit laggy. But yeah, it'll matchmake you with some random person. Right now there's no like MMR or something, so it's just like random. Whoever joins first, that's who you're playing. But we keep track of like all the chunk data and everything on the server. So like whenever you load a new chunk, really you're just requesting a new chunk from the server, and the server kind of manages, here are all the chunks, here's what's on them using a seed, and if two players walk in the same chunk, we keep the track of like how many players are rendering the chunk. That way if someone leaves, then it stays rendered for the other person, but once they both leave, then it kind of puts it back into the same position. And on the bottom right, you can kind of see like the bullet count, like, so we assume you're holding like a revolver, so as he's shooting bullets, he is losing bullets. And also we have sound, you can't hear it, but it's really good. And like, as you're shooting and as you're reloading, and if you're out of bullets, then like it clicks. Maybe we can try to play it somehow, but Spencer's absolutely dominating.
I'm running away. Another thing that we added that we noticed a lot of, multiplayer games like this, like a little cartoony have, is emotes. So if someone let me live for a couple seconds here, I can do a little dance. One of the things we want to add in the future is to make it so the enemies can actually see the dance. The animations are giving us trouble with the server, to where we can't see the walking animation of the enemy. But we can press 1 here and do a little dance. And then if you move, it just resets it. And I have it in the Macarena as well. So that was fun to implement. So I think it'd be cool, meet up with your friends and dance around and shoot each other, and maybe add some like PvE aspects where you can work together. But that would be future work as well.
Yeah, here's the domain name too. Oh, you should have. Here's some credits. We just use some assets. We don't really make 3D models ourselves. Kind of too long for a weekend. But yeah, we just found this free on the Unity store.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, super cool stuff. I guess one of the questions I have is, how do you handle your world generation? Is that all pre-made? Did you have some randomization?
Yeah, so it's all randomized, so none of it's actually like, I didn't design any levels or anything. So at the start of the game, we create a seed for the world, and then every time we generate it's a 4x4 chunk region, we call it like a meta chunk, where we create a new seed for that, and every chunk within that has a new seed. That way, if we have like larger structures, like the building takes up more than one chunk. So if you want to make a random building, we have to kind of plan that out. So yeah, everything's generated procedurally.
And the buildings and decor type things are also randomly placed there. So there's just a chance that decor spawns and then it just matches with the slope of the floor. And so you'll see some things, like we have a fence model that will definitely like go through the floor and stuff because it's very long. But I think it kind of just a little bit of charm of the game too, is just kind of randomness. But
in terms of the bullets, I thought they looked great. Did you spend much time thinking about what that should look like coming at you?
Yeah, I did a little bit of work. I just made it a capsule, collider little thing, and then I gave it some particle effects. So I work with the particle system a little bit, but I don't have too much experience with it. So it's kind of fun trying to make like a little fire around it and stuff like that. It took a little bit of time, but I think it came out pretty good.
Throughout testing, Spencer had a lot of bullets in most of hitting them, so he has a lot of experience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bulldog Nation. All right, up next, our last game, Dad Games. Where are you all from, by the way?
We're from New York City.
Awesome. Thanks.
Welcome.
That's 4 cities, at least. Thanks.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jason. I'm also dad with Dad Games. I might not be your dad, but I'm willing to be. You can stop by anytime. So come on over. This is Soren. He's my son. So the game I created, I call Portal Kitty. The idea here is I create a little demo to kind of explain what's going on. We have kitties, and they're coming out of portals. You want to catch the kitty and earn a point. We have 2 buttons that you press. X hits the baseball, We also have Z, you have a portal cannon, which disarms our bombs. So the idea behind this really was try to keep it as simple as possible. Old school, simple games. Atari was kind of what I was going for. So you can hear my audio in here. I've got beeps and boops right now. I tried to draw a cat in the style of Atari, and it absolutely did not work. Luckily somebody suggested to me that I could use emojis instead, and it would actually render. So that was a surprise to me. I'm super old. I did use AI to help me out with a little bit of the code as I went through this. So the way that the game works is you will get points. As an example there, you just got a point for capturing the kitty. You rescued the kitty. And then your points build up, and you build up a streak. So the number of times that you continue to do it in a row, right? Well, the way that the game works is it gets faster and faster. So it's kind of an old school shooter, right? It's getting harder as you progress. The way I did that, I used modulus. So basically rounding the number, if it rounds to a certain, you divide by a number. If it rounds to 0, then you increase your speed. You can see the speed there. Soren, do you want to go ahead and start? So I'm going to have Soren go through, and we're going to try to do this and see how fast we can get and how many points we can get. Some of the challenges that I had as I went through this is initially it was very hard to play. You had a very limited window to actually get a point. So I had to increase that quite a bit. Another thing too is I had to put in portals on the right and left. So that's a screen wrap, so you can wrap back around if you get stuck on one side of the screen. Some of the things I'd like to do, kind of to build on this, I would like to start with maybe 3 lanes and then progress as you get more levels and points and those kinds of things to 5. I find that it gets pretty quick and hectic, pretty quick, and so I had to kind of slow down the game, like I said, open up that, expand the window where you can actually get those points. It's a little hard to see, but there is a line at the top and the bottom that demarcates where you can actually score a point. So again, you're pressing the button to score the points. Another thing that I really wanted to do was have more action, more characters in here, more than just the 3 that I had. But I found it was just too difficult for the player to kind of keep track of what was going on. So again, as we go through, it gets hectic, more and more hectic. Another thing too is I'd like to have at a game over, which the only way currently to game over is to get hit by a bomb. So if you want to try to do that, Soren.
I'm already such on a good start.
One of the things that we found about the game, so eventually if you get hit by a bomb, game over. One of the things that we found with the game is it's addictive, and all 3 of my boys wanted to fight over who got to play it next, and no one wants to quit. So one of the things that we want to do is add in some kind of scorekeeping, so whether it be high points or a streak. So, yep, that's pretty much it. That's okay. So thanks.
This is really cool. I guess one of the questions that you've sort of already answered too is just what's the biggest technical challenge that you ran into, or just a lesson learned that you might take on for other games you want to do later on?
Probably the lesson learned is how difficult good art is, and trying to keep it as simple as possible for what you're trying to stay within the style that you're doing. I found that to be challenging. Also, keeping it as limited as possible to make a good game that's addictive. I find that the best games are ones that you have to get involved in, have to be addicted, it has to be fast-paced, and keep the player active. So, yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
All right, thank you to all our teams. That was our final presentation. I'm gonna take the judges probably up on the mezzanine. If there's anybody up on that 3rd floor, if you could give them some privacy for a second. They're gonna deliberate for just a little bit, and then we'll come down and we'll announce prizes. right, so a little bit of that out of the way. We'll start with the raffle. These are from the early submission teams. Thank you again for everybody who submitted early. I think that worked out really well. Axel Studio. Yep. Thank you very much to Tiger Tech for providing all that cool stuff for us. We're definitely going to continue that early judging next year too. So. Great job, Axel Studio. All right, so I'm going to do these in order a little bit. So we'll start with the Indie Pro category. Everyone who, after I announce your name, if you could head down to 104 Townsend Hall down on the first floor. If you need help, me or a mentor can direct you. You'll talk to Roxy and she'll collect some of your info so we can get you guys your prize money and things like that. All right, so third place from the Indie Pro category is Team Vadium. Second place is Team Weird Mage. First place, with a really polished game, Triple Fault Games. Thank you to all the indie pros for coming out and helping us out here. For the college category, in third place is Happy Turtle Games. And in second place in the college category, we have Calvin and the Chipmunks. And then first place in the college category, this had our most entrants, was UMKC Bit Brigade. Great job. Really good work. All right, so now we're going to the K-12 category. This is our first year that we've actually had multiple entries in the K-12 category, so this is really exciting. Glad you all came out, and I hope you all enjoyed Mizzou, and let us know if you want to see any more of it. In third place in the K-12 category, we have Como Girls Who Game. In second place in the K-12 category, we have the Game Boy Kid. Great work, great work. First place in the K-12 category, and our grand prize winner for this game jam overall is Evie Davis. Evie Davis. Not only the judges, but honestly, when I was around in the crowd after the demos, that was the game that I heard called out 3 or 5 times, more than any other. Everybody did great work. I heard a lot of games mentioned, but that one was consistently, everyone was really impressed. Great work, Evie. Thank you all very much. Like I said, say thank you to the judges and mentors. If you would like any of your notes from the judges, feel free to grab the stat sheets. They took great notes and they'd be happy to give you some feedback. If you want to network with anybody, Johanna and Nathan have some great industry connections, so grab an email or a Discord name. And like I said, help us clean up if you don't mind, and I hope to see everyone back next year. Thank you all very much.